Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode. And we're live.
And we're live. Sorry, Maddie, stealing your line.
It's iconic. It's iconic. We have a very special guest with us. He is the founder of hexfire.io. He is a intellectual in the Hex community, one of the most respected people by people that are new, and also he has the respect of the OGs as well. So it is an honor to have Mr. Chrispy Man on the show. How you doing, Chrispy Man?
Hey now, Furu. Good to see you, buddy. Hey, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks for
Ain't
coming on short notice.
Oh, no problem. Ain't nothing I like better than talking about HEX. So there we go.
Likewise.
Impulse. I like Pulse too.
So. We're going to talk about that as well. I guess for an introduction, I guess just give us your story.
Yeah, sure, Furu. Yeah, so I came to crypto as I was approaching my FIRE, which is financial independence, retire early. I had a plan in place for several years, going all the way back to 2014, right, to make it so I could retire someday. And anyways, that led me to looking for passive income. Also around the same time, 2017 happened. So I got into crypto and started playing with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Went through that, that cycle, the up and the down. And along the way, I was introduced to Richard Hart videos, particularly the self-help videos early on, and which resonated really well. And so it made perfect sense once he decided to launch a token to get into it. So I did my BTC claim for HEX and got some free HEX and participated in the adoption amplifier. And then as the saying goes, you let your winners run. So I found that the system, the community, the whole thing has continued to work the way it's supposed to work. Verified that about 1 million times. We're almost up to 4 years now, over 3 years of operation. And so I keep going, along those lines, right? Things have changed a lot, dude. I mean, you guys all come in here now and you're like, oh, look at all this stuff you can do. Man, we could barely even make videos, a few years ago, never mind get data. So the whole ecosystem, and I mean just in general, like in Ethereum, the whole ecosystem's been changing so much that what I used to do is I used to keep like this hand spreadsheet, and I would just update it every day. 7 o'clock would roll around, 8 o'clock, and I just update it and update it and update it. It wasn't worth the trouble for me to go figure out how to get data out because it was so hard. But then the tools started coming where we could get data. And so last year, I guess really 21, not 22. So back in 21, I was like, I could, I'd like to know this stuff, right? So I started pulling data, and I started building basically what I do, what I want to do, right? And building that into a website that other people could access. So that's where hexfire.io came from, was the idea of being able to, there shouldn't be any reason you can't go see all your staking information in one place if you could do it, And so that's what I had done. And, the big catalyst for publishing was I got surprised by a 700 hex increase in t-shirt rate because I had unstaked and I was getting ready to restake, and I was like, I'll just wait a couple days, right? I'll just wait a couple days. Well, then the price went up overnight on me, and I was like, damn, somebody ought to be able to figure out how to make that, know that was going to happen. And so that's what I put together. And by the way, probably 2 days from now, right, we'll see another 700 increase. So, and now we're able to predict that stuff well in advance. It helps with staking. So that's my medium story. Not sure.
Yeah, that's a great story. And I had to ask you because when Johnny Cass was first on the show, I think it was 2 months ago, he said there was a man who was into Bitcoin mining, and he had a lot of Bitcoin mining, and he ended up getting rid of that for HEX. Is that you?
No, not me.
Oh, he said his name was Chris, so I
It
thought,
might, yeah. You know, there's like more than one person in the world
yeah.
named Chris. I wish it was me. I wish it was me because I probably have a boatload of crypto. Now, you know, back in the day when this thing launched, you know, I'm sitting at my desk and I'm reading, you know, the article on the white paper, and like, oh, I don't know, this seems a little weird, you know, magical internet money, and then when it was like, oh, you got to download software, run it. It was like just like today. It's like all FUD, you know. Oh, don't do that. You know, viruses. Somebody's gonna hack your computer. You know, do that stuff, and then all the way to 2015. You know, you get validated as things go along, right? You watch what happens, and you're like, see, I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. Look what happened with Mount Gox, right? Is like the perfect reason never to get in. Look, all those people lost their money, and a lot of people did lose their money, you know, for a long time. Still haven't gotten it back. But even when it was like a few bucks, like I still have an email from 2015 where I contacted somebody and was like, "Hey, man, I want to get some Bitcoin." You're like, "Yeah, put $1,000 in an envelope and mail it to me." You know, the address wasn't even the U.S.; it was Canada. So, so think about this: I got to send $1,000 cash in the mail to Canada to get a paper wallet back, right?
Mhm.
You know, from the U.S. Like I don't even know, if it's illegal, you know, to do it, right? So of course I didn't do it. Biggest mistake, right? That would be cool, right? To send $1,000, I'd be doing pretty good with that too.
Oh yeah.
No, so my real advent with that, no, you know, no mining. I just DCA'd in for 3 years, you know,
Oh wow.
and starting from 2017.
So you're doing all right.
Yeah, a few $100 a week, you know, and just keep loading it up, loading it up. That's how DCA works, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I like how you mentioned the similarities with Bitcoin. Um, I know Johnny Chaos said we could be seeing a $30,000 hex, and that was unfathomable with Bitcoin. And then we went to 69,000. And it seems unfathomable now. I mean, you know,
Hmm.
being that we're at 5 cents, uh, can you see? Can you imagine a $30,000 hex?
Yeah, I'll start with the end first. Yes. Right. Yes. Now, I don't know, dude. I don't know if you're going to see that this year, 5 years, 12 years. I don't know if it'll even actually happen. There's a lot going on, right? But let me tell you, there are quite a few people who were pretty sure we weren't going to see 50 cents. And I don't know, you know, I don't know what the X's are. You have to tell me the X's, but I know what the X's are to $30,000. But it was pretty much not a sure thing we were going to see 10,000X, right? At least in our minds. So we all kind of have this price bias, right? We live where we are. You know, we're sitting down well below a penny. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe someday it'll get to a penny, right? Got to 50 cents, right? You know, we kind of give ourselves, I think people do this in general, these limits we put in our head, and we're like, oh, can't do that because that would be crazy. But you know what? Uh, sure enough, Bitcoin did that. Sure enough, you could have gotten 50 cent ETH, you know, 6, 7 years ago. So what isn't possible, you know? Now, exactly what path, I don't know. It'll get there, but I think it's important. I think it's important to be realistic and even conservative. I tend to be super conservative. Like I do all my planning based on the current price, right? So I want to be able to make sure that I can take care of my family at the current price, right? And so what do I need? What kind of staking do I need to do that? But that kind of cuts me off sometimes because I might not be like thinking about the moon math. And like in crypto, a 50x would be kind of like meh, you know, 100x would be like we're kind of in the game, you know.
Yeah.
So another 10,000x, sure. But you know, like the guys are saying in chat, man, $30,000 hex. I don't know what the hell that looks like. How many billionaires is that? And of course, paper billionaires in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. Is nothing stopping it. I think, and people can't imagine these returns also because, like in stocks, there's a company dumping on you. The price goes
Mhm.
up, they just start issuing new shares and selling it. That's got to make
Yep.
it heavy.
Yep.
There's also people that got in like many like 100x lower than retail that are unloading. With crypto, it's different because crypto, not all of them, and it is a dying thing these days. But the whole thing about crypto is that the retail has the opportunity to get ahead of the institutions and ahead of the accredited investors, which has its downside, which we're seeing. Like because
Mm.
you could easily just scam people, but if you get it right, the sky's the limit. What do you think about that?
If you get it right, the sky is the limit. I think that's good. That's true. I think that's true. I mean, yeah, I joke around with RG about this at one point. RG3 dropping his name, I'm stealing clout. But he was the one that put me on to doing things like emergency end staking early and before the big payday and going after more T shares. But we were talking back then, and I don't remember exact wording and all this, but like 10 cents was kind of like crazy. Again, kind of like crazy to think you even get to 10 cents. So when you start talking about adoption, and I know he and Johnny Chaos were on, I think it was last night, and they had a big conversation about all this stuff. You know, maybe we've got 100,000 people involved right now. It's a minor number compared
Yeah.
to all of the people in crypto that could be involved and compared to all the people in the world who aren't involved, in crypto at
Mhm.
all. So we could, what does it look like when you double, right? Is that a 4x of the network value? I don't know, you know,
Yeah, and
whatever it ends up being.
yeah, and I guess I wanted to bring up this tweet I had this morning because it relates to everything that you said and we're discussing. But like, there's a lot of people out there that are saying, "Oh, Hex, it could only do a 4x from all time high because Ethereum on its second cycle did a 4x from 4x from its all time high in Cardano and like a bunch of other alts." Um, but what people don't realize is that not every situation is the same. And I explained in this tweet that, uh,
Mm.
ETH and ADA were known by all. Everybody knew what it was after their first run up, and it got listed on every single centralized exchange, kind of like what we're seeing with SHIB now. So SHIB might 4x its all time high kind of thing because, there's not too many people to bring in at this point. But Hex is still unknown with zero major centralized exchange listings. I mean, so few people, like you said, maybe 100,000, maybe. Um, the opportunity is so early, and it's similar to Bitcoin. In its second cycle, it did 1,000. It didn't 4x its all time high. It did a lot more than that because even after its first cycle, it was not known. So that's why I don't like simplifying things to math when things are a lot more complicated. But what are your thoughts on
They
everything?
are. Yeah, well, of course, things are more complicated. It depends how you want to measure. I mean, some people do measure top to top, but quite frequently, right, it's bottom to top, right? So previous bottom to top. And with Ethereum last round did 53x from the bottom to the top. So I think in this case, if you were just talking about, 4x gets you to hex at $2, right? Which is a huge number by itself, right? What's 2 cents times 53? 53x, right? So I should do that on a calculator, get it right. So if we do 0.02 times 53, right? That gets you to $1.06, right? So I think the lame side of this, the low side of what we're looking at is that kind of range, right? $1 to $2, right? And you'll hear a lot of guys talk about 150, 160, 240, 269, that kind of range. But that's not the end of the story. This is only, so first off, I think what you're saying is right. You can't just cookie cut this stuff in. There's no telling what will happen. Really, there's no telling what will happen with the volatility coming from Pulsechain. I mean, there's just no way to know how that will affect things. So, um, So yeah. But now let me give you the counter. So I give you this little thing. I said, well, maybe, based on the 53x for ETH one way, and you look at it and maybe $2, or 4x on the high end, like you said, right?
Mhm.
I know that we all want 10,000x. Got it. I know everybody wants to put $1 in to make $1 million. Got it. However, let's take a step back. Pretty damn good to go from a nickel to $1 in over 2 or 3 years. And so in our system, when you compare it outside of crypto, anyways, I was listening to a guy that does stocks, right?
Stunts.
Stonks. Anyways, he does stonks, and he's the older guy, and but he's always talking about different things. And he was like, "I can't believe it! They're talking about Bitcoin going up 7x over the next 7 years." I'm thinking, well, you haven't seen crypto, right? But that's the thing is 7x, man, 4x, 5x. That's a lot. Any of these numbers is a lot compared to what you can find outside of it. Now, the trade-off, of course, is the volatility. A lot of people, when we're talking to them, of course, none of this is financial advice, kind of observing what's going on in the systems. But you're talking to somebody like this, they'll cherry pick. You said it's going to go to $1, $2, right? Well, yeah, but as we can see, 97% dips are in the game. So yeah, the year after, maybe it's going to be 3 cents. So yeah, you gotta, but most people stop at the first part. They remember what they like. They don't remember what they don't like.
Yeah,
And this game is knowing both. You got to know both. You got to know both
definitely
because
got to know both.
yeah.
No, I just like, but it's just like, I mean, with regard to like, it is impressive, even a 4x from all time high. I mean, that is pretty insane. And people have gotten a little bit spoiled with the 10,000x being thrown around, but
Don't FUD my bags, man. Don't FUD my
yeah,
bags.
no, but I think it's going to do more than that because
Yeah.
I mean, was the strength of the ADA community in the bear market and Ethereum community, was it as engaging? I don't think so. Um, I don't think they had, I don't think, and again, like it was accessible to all on centralized exchanges after one cycle. So like,
Yep.
how much more money could you bring in at that point? Hex is accessible to very few. I mean, that's why I say it's on the fringe, and that's why I'm so staunch on the TikToks, because that really gets target marketed. That is the marketing that's appropriate, because you get to target people that know how to use dexes and that could seamlessly be onboarded. But once this thing gets on centralized exchanges, I mean, just mathematically, it's going to have to go up by a lot more than that. So
Well,
I'm
yeah, just from the bonding,
yeah.
alone. So there's just so many things that could be happening and it really kick our butts all over the place. I'm excited about it. It's really good. And I think that if we're just talking about a crypto, just any crypto, and it's just a token sitting there, this would be an exciting conversation because you're talking about all the same types of things. I mean, people kind of leave that
Mhm.
part out. I mean, I really don't want to be negative against us by comparing us to meme coins, right? But
Mhm.
you got all these meme coins out there, and they, in a lot of ways, some of the tokens you mentioned are just that to me, right? There's communities that got behind them, they support them, they want to go up, right? Okay. Well, then you have what we do with Hex, where it's an immutable contract. It's not being changed. It's locked. I can go participate in that as much as I want and get as much yield as I want, according to how the system works, anyways, by participating. And I think that's a huge thing that part of the group that comes in with us and works with Hex, they don't get, right, because they're not stakers. They don't think it's important, but it gives a huge advantage to the stakers, in my opinion, right?
Mhm.
Because they're able to gain 20-30% a year
Yeah,
in volume.
yeah,
You know?
that's on top of all the price appreciation, which is
Yeah.
it's pretty insane.
Yeah. So you're I don't know what the numbers are, but I mean your 4x is an 8x for me, right?
Yeah,
Or a 6x or whatever the number works out to be.
yeah, there you go. Very true, very true. So We have a lot to talk about. I wanted to talk about Bitcoin, where we are in the cycle. I want to talk about Hex. People are saying it's pumping.
Oh yeah, I know. I haven't even looked. You told me it was pumping. I hadn't gotten a chance to look yet today.
Yeah, no, I want to talk about that, and there's a lot of things, but first we have to talk about hexfire.io, because that is your biggest contribution to the community, and it is one of the biggest contributions to the community. A lot of data, a lot of value being given. So just tell us about it.
Yeah, sure. Of course, as soon as you said that, I realized that I put up my Hexfire Pro
Oh,
site. But Hexfire.io is the free site that I have. We'll go to it here in a second. I'll just punch through in a second. So what you guys seeing on the screen is I created this website and with all this data piped in, and basically I've gotten to the point where I break the internet. Right. Well, at least I break my part of the internet, and if people are using it, it starts breaking theirs, because there's only so much data you can smash and mash depending on the resources that are available. And so what I'm doing is I'm using a particular software that allows me to bring it all together, publish it out, and make it free. So I've done that, right? And that's what hexfire.io is. The Pro refers to, of course, I had to get the Pro site when I bought the IO site, otherwise somebody else would get it.
mhm.
But along the way here, I set up a Patreon where people who want to keep the free site up and running and support that do that. And then in exchange, I'm doing perks on and exclusive content on Patreon for them. This is an example of the exclusive content. I'm just in the beginning phase as a design, and this will be totally different. But what I'm beginning to dig into are different aspects, like a survey that I did, asking people what was important to them. Is latency was important. They wanted hourly updates, not 4-hour updates. So going through, the new Hexfire arrangement, they are updated hourly. Some of the data I have is every half an hour, that type of thing. So what you're seeing on the screen here to start with is it's a lot of the same data that we see. I'm just trying to give some highlights. My price hasn't quite ticked over to 50 yet, but not a little while ago, at 406 UTC, it was 0497. So, and that's just an example of that latency. And then what I have here on the screen are some fun things that I've begun to build that I couldn't include into Hexfire. Um, like new different types of charts and that type of stuff and calculators. Because again, what I'm able to serve these up a little bit separately. And so I'll give you an example. If we see if this will actually come up on the screen for you guys. If I open this up. Boom. So this is one that I've been fooling with today and yesterday. We're just looking at the hex price over some time, and yes, we've all seen the different price charts and whatnot that we have. But what I'm trying to do is to begin to get some things down, like being able to, potentially animate what's happening with it, and because I'm not on the screen, it won't move. But let me see if you tell me if it's moving for you
It's moving.
guys.
It's moving.
Yeah. So you see how this screen is just kind of printing the price.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how useful this will be to us or to me or to others, but when having the conversation about what happened when, beginning to overlay things like dates like the launch. We see big payday coming up on the right. There's some other things that we have included in here, like I can put sacrifice dates, that type of stuff. But anyways, just trying to dig further into what do these things mean to us? What do they mean to us? When and of course, price in itself is either up or down. But looking at this in terms of volatility, maybe liquidity, all that kind of stuff, to be able to make better informed decisions. you know. But I joke about that. I'm like fully staked, dude. So I'm 100% staked. So I got no action to take. You know, I like looking at the numbers and stuff. But I mean, unless I'm doing something, I'm not trading. You know. So anyway, so what do you think about this? Does this catch your attention at all? This is kind of what I was talking to you about for the TikToks.
This definitely catches my attention because it puts things into perspective. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is the log chart, and it was kind of funny because it was printing. We kind of saw it here. If you look back at the April time frame, way back here, this is the God whale pump, right? When God whale came in back here,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I made such a big deal. So it brought that price up pretty good.
Yeah.
July of 2020, that's where I merged the end stick to take profit. As silly as it sounds, I had I was new, man. I didn't understand that was a bad thing, right? But I learned my lesson. But I did take profit. But then by the time we started getting up here to big payday, man, we got a ton of money got dumped on us for uni right around September,
Mm-hmm.
with the uni airdrop. And then you see this as we went into big payday, how that price jumped and then dropped down. And we celebrated the hell out of the end of the year, man. You never seen so many people happy as the price dropped.
Mm-hmm.
As you'll hear that sometimes from people. And this was the New Year's Eve pump right here. So, yeah, so there's some history to this thing, where you can kind of look at this. It might be useful to do some correlations, like I said, with volatility as well as liquidity. In a couple weeks here, maybe this week, I think it won't be this week, but Axis and I are going to get together. We're going to talk about volatility. I'm going to try to learn some stuff and just see how it played out.
Mm.
So I can't see the screen, so I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Well, I love it. Let me just say, and I like it even more with your narration on top of it. You might have to implement that.
Yeah, well, that's
A
what I was thinking.
voiceover.
I was thinking for the TikTok, right, or something, or the short. We could do some things like that. I'm just not creative enough without getting juiced up a little bit.
No,
So I'm
definitely.
gonna have to work on that. But and so you guys can see, a lot of I know for the people who bought on the higher price, and I don't laugh because I bought at every level here. So I even bought up at 48 cents. So I'm right there with everybody. But you can see the amount of time we spent well below 2 cents,
Yeah.
and so um, you see also in the July time frame over here, this is our beginning of the sack phase because that happened a little bit later, but it was announced back, earlier. So that's part of what the rise. That's why some people talk about this being an artificial, not artificial as in negatively, but just more driven by the pulse. Um, Up to the 48 cents. You see that. And then you can see our Pulse X pump over here in price.
Yeah, I remember that.
This guy here, I forget what month that is. Let's see, it's going to be it's getting to be longer time frames now. But there's some different things we could probably correlate on the screen that are like big activities for, it stopped because it got to the end. There's probably some big activities we could probably note, like when did May, I think, was Maximus DAO stuff, right? For one
Mhm.
bit, one bit of it, we had some big staking that took place back early in 22. Implementation of Hedron. So there's some different things. Anyway, so this is an example of one of the, one of these things. Yeah, and yeah, I see Billy Max asking that question about PLS having the same dip after launch. So guys, this is one of the things that I'm going to say that you're probably just going to immediately forget, most of you. Most launches, the price goes down, right? So, and it goes down a lot. It doesn't go down a little bit. right? Like it wouldn't be crazy for there to be a 95% drop, an 80% drop, a 70, whatever the numbers. I don't know what it's going to be. So yeah, when Pulse launches, even if we get some huge number like 3015 or some higher number, um, don't be surprised, right? Don't be surprised. You got to wait it out. Um, and if you don't listen to this part of the conversation and think about it and kind of ingrain it in your head, you won't be ready for it, and you'll sell the bottom. That's what we do.
Well, I'm
We
not going
pref-
to forget that. But I guess I, I had a question on, now that you bring that up. You're saying that most launches are followed by a dump, and I guess the reason for that is because buy the rumor, sell the news, right? Um, Johnny talked about this on the show last time. The
no.
prospect of the stealth launch, which would, on the one hand, it would prevent a buy the rumor, sell the news, so maybe we won't have such a big dump. But on the other hand, I countered, and I said also you have to keep in mind the marketing, like big payday. A lot of people came in because of big payday, and even though there was a dump, it brought in a lot of new onboards, and also, yeah, people like green candles. So the hype of it, not only marketing, but it would drive the price up to maybe the point where even a dump would still keep us in the green. So what do you think? Do you think it will be a stealth launch? And would you prefer? Do you think a stealth launch is more beneficial?
Well, I'll start with a dump is not guaranteed,
That's true.
right? So it's not guaranteed it'll dump, and it's going to make a difference how things come together, right? So what does that mean? I got Pulse. A lot of people have Pulse, right? So just in general, we're in the Pulse ecosystem. So are they more heavy-handed holders or are they more like dumpers? Well, great many of them are more like holders, not dumpers, right? So you might have that aspect. Kind of a stealth kind of a launch. In my mind, when you say that, confirm this for me, you just mean not a lot of fanfare in advance. So we're not going to have like a long tail leading, or I don't know if it's tail.
No, no announcement. It's just
Hey,
we launched, so nobody could. If there's an announcement, people could buy up HEX and then dump it.
yeah. So that may create an increased amount of FOMO, which would drive people to go up, and buy up more in price. But I think within our ecosystem, there ain't no way to tell what's going to happen, because remember the overall value. This is probably one of the measures we'll end up talking about at some point is total value locked on. Maybe it won't be considered a lock, but this is where possibly market cap would be useful. We start talking about Pulsechain in general, because I think what you're going to see is at least a three-way seesaw between HEX, PulseX, and Pulse. Price-wise. Okay, what do I mean? They're all going to be tied really tightly together, really tightly together. But that doesn't mean that one won't go up while another one goes down. It's going to have all to do with the ratios, and those things will be correcting themselves. And so, yeah, I think, in that case, I think I'm going to be really interested overall whether or not we're retaining value within Pulse or it's leaving. But like for instance, I'm in the market for more HEX, right? So if I get a chance to swap, particularly before things are priced into HEX, I'm going to swap into HEX. And then I know somebody else who's saying exactly the same thing about Pulse from PulseX, right? And then you have all the guys who bought HEX with the idea that they were going to swap into Pulse. So things are going to be quite interesting, I think,
But
that way.
yet, you're saying you don't know with regard to the stealth launch, but do you think it is more or less beneficial? That's if you're Richard Hart.
I think it's probably less beneficial overall for others, but for our community, it's more beneficial.
Why?
And what I mean by that is because it'd be less folks coming in, jumping in late, and gives our gives our people the opportunity, right, to be, in place and doing what they want to do. They've already been following it for a year or longer. They've made that investment, in time, of understanding what's going on. Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I'm thinking, because having less outsiders jumping around in and out of the system causing havoc might be useful to me.
But
I hadn't really put a lot of thought to this.
But if we all have HEX, which we should, not financial advice, all these guys jumping in, that would hurt them more than us, maybe, because we already have the HEX.
Yep. Well, yeah, but I mean, denying them knowledge of it means they come later, which means they're always going to get a worse deal. So that's what I mean about them. But that might be okay for me, right?
Yeah.
That's why it might be better, okay for me that they don't all run in.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know how really to answer whether it's a fair thing or not. But
yeah, I guess it's better because we get to accumulate more, and they have to come in later. But
I think it's going to be, what's going to end up happening. It's going to be bound by what's possible. That's all. I mean, when, who knows how fast it'll, once we light the fuse, how fast things go. If there's time, I'm sure the word will get out. If there's not enough time, then fewer people will know. It'll just be the way it is. But I don't think it's going to be like, hey, let's do a Q4, announcement, and we're gonna build up to it like a campaign. I don't think that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that makes sense. I guess the question is marketing. It does create a buzz, and like I said, the big payday was very good for onboarding. Do you think, from a marketing standpoint, it would be good to announce?
Oh, yeah, certainly. But remember, we have no organization. There's no company. And so what does marketing look like? Marketing looks like, the dev team, Richard's team, somebody announces they're going to do something. And then Richard goes on streams, that's marketing. And then all the rest of us hear that Richard said that something's happening, and then we go start talking about it. So that's marketing, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like there's a plan and a budget and a team, right? It's going to be viral as hell.
Yeah. Because of TikTok.
That's how, because of TikTok, right? That's probably how the most people will find out about it, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I think, I think in the end, yes, it's going to need to be, I think the more marketing that gets done, even if it's from individuals, right, the better we'll all be off with it, right? The better the launch, the more users, the more eyeballs.
So you're a yes on the telegraphing the launch day, like we're launching in 1 week, kind of thing.
Yeah, I would expect,
set your affairs in order.
I would expect nothing less as a community member, right? I mean,
okay.
We haven't done this in the past this way, so I don't think it's going to happen this way. It would really suck for there to be insiders who know when the launch is. Now, of course, there's limits to how, because there's people that are devs that are part of teams, but they're under contract perhaps, or maybe they're under NDA. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it would really suck if there was like a group of people who knew exactly when things were going to happen. And then we're able, the rest of us are left out in the cold.
Yeah, no, that would also be like regulatory, like that's that.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen. I think just a lot of people are going to be left out in the cold, being that they just don't know about it because they don't have HEX.
Right. We've been telling people for a long time, right?
They don't listen. They don't listen until it's too late. But lucky for them, they could stake it, and they'll probably be in the green after a couple of years. I guess while we're on the topic of Pulsechain, is there a preference between the trifecta? It's Lit calls it the trifecta. Do you have a particular preference?
You mean between Pulsex and HEX?
Yes.
between those? Isn't it a quad?
No, because there's only 3 now. So if
All
you
right.
because if you're buying Hex now, you get both. So
Yeah. Um, they're
but
going to
when
be
I
so,
ask you that after Pulsechain launch, it's going to be quad.
it's going to be so tightly bound by liquidity that I don't think you can do over time, even though there'll be volatility in the meantime. I don't think you can do badly. Or I should say, I don't think you make a poor choice if you're trying to participate in the ecosystem. Of course, not financial advice, right? Do your own research. Do your own research. But it just seems like, from a game perspective, that that's going to be the case. Now, what am I most interested in? I don't know all the details yet about Pulse. I don't know all the details about PulseX. I have an idea, but I don't know which ones are going to make it through. What am I talking about? Well, I have HEX, which today, for a short stake, I can get 10% APY. Even like on a 1-day stake, 2-day stake, it's the equivalent of that. All the way up to 37, 38% for the longest stake.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting incentive tokens for PulseX? What question mark are they? What are they worth? Question mark. Is there yield? Don't know. Same thing with Pulse. Pulse validator system may have been adjusted. Don't know. Don't have the details. So I don't know. Am I earning 0% on Pulse, right? So, well, you asked me which ones. I'm going to go for what I think I'm going to get the most yield, and probably diversify in that way. I don't mean just pile into just one. So you have that angle, right? Because I think yield's going to be very important, because I think, at least in theory, right, one idea is that price isn't going to matter as much, because they're all going to go up together, right? Because they'll be bound. So I would go yield. In terms of X's,
That's a very good answer. I like that answer.
yeah, well, in terms of X's, though, people are gonna, people say, wow, Hex has already done 10,000 X, probably not gonna go up. Pulse doesn't, it does not deflate as quickly as PulseX, so PulseX, right? So you've heard a lot of people talk about that. And I don't know that we'll really know until it starts happening. But people say, well, I expect Pulse in the short term and PulseX in the long term, and yada yada. So just really truly don't think you can really know. And so if you're playing in this, much like Richard had said early on, and I say playing, I mean if you're in part of it, he said, hey, get a bit of Pulse, a little bit of PulseX. What was his famous quote?
The 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
Yeah, 1/3, 1/3, or 2/3, 1/3. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I like what you said about the yield. Because I was thinking like Pulse X is going to be giving you this token, but everyone's going to be dumping the token for more Pulse X, which means that the token's probably not going to be worth a lot, and you're probably not going to get a lot of yield if the token's not worth a lot. And then Pulse Chain is it's not deflationary anymore, but I can't imagine the reward being that high, right? Like the staking rewards, and then Hex you got like 38%. Also, people don't factor in is that the Hex is getting copied, so your ROI is not just what you're buying now, but it's plus the VX, yeah, plus the interest earned. It's like it has a huge head start, and that's my favorite, honestly. But short term, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I think you're right on, dude. I think you're right on, because I really don't know what's going to happen, but that's my sense of things, And people coming into it that like the idea yield will probably go towards Hex, and the ones who are thinking they want X's will probably go towards Pulse and PulseX, right? For various reasons, because that's the narrative, anyways. On layer ones and on Dexes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's history between both of those about, how well they've done in launches, right? And so, yeah, you get a little bit of that. So, I just really wish it'd hurry up and come. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't mind waiting. I get to buy more, so I get to buy more hex. So, I mean,
Yep.
opportunity's huge. So I guess that brings us into the next question. What is when is V3 coming? When is Pulsechain mainnet Testnet V3 going to be launched? People have been saying days away, but they've been saying it's days away for days. Like they've been saying it for days. So is it
Sure.
really even days away? And there's the bug. So let's get your take on that.
Well, I think I like Easter eggs, so Easter's as good a date as any other day. We just
Okay.
we just pick one out, right? Just go. Here's the thing with it, right? Unless you're part of the team, you don't know, and unless somebody's made an announcement, you don't know, and I don't know, right? And so, I would guess, my hopes, right? We were pretty close to being done, and then we got the announcement that something needed to be done with a bug. So now they're chasing bugs, and I had a bug this week, so I know all about bugs, right? So, oh, that was a real bug though. I, the so you got to figure that out and do it. I don't know. I don't know. It would seem likely that we're closer to the beginning of it or the end of it than we are to from the start. But yeah. Now, in pure like moon language or moon thoughts, September, October, November wouldn't be bad for final launch. That would equate, December-ish equates to the launch of HEX, right? That would be a 4-year anniversary. And I don't suspect that there's any need to or want to really wait that long. But just thinking about it backwards from there, it's not unfathomable that, maybe you're shooting for, a 3-month period of time of V3 up and running, before you actually launch. It's not crazy. Some people go even longer. I mean, there's some change right now. Wasn't quite the same setup, but like other networks. I mean, it's been a year that they've been up and running, before they went to the main network. So it's not crazy that we might see another 3 months of this that gets us to May, another 3 months of running with broke fixes or whatever else I got to do, and then roll into a September, October type of a launch. I mean, it's all reasonable.
So you're
But
saying, I'm sorry. So you're saying
now go ahead.
May V3 and then September mainnet.
Yeah, sure. You write me down for that. If there's a square I can win some money on, do that. But, because it's all, like I said, I don't have any special insight to it.
Yeah, no.
There's nobody I know. I just know from my past experience with implementation. So
Sounds fair. Sounds fair. I guess the next question is the EHEX PHEX parity. I don't know if you heard the Johnny clip. He said that the OA could, obviously there's no expectations, pair EHEX and PHEX and liquidity with so much that it is impossible to change the ratios and they will always be at parity. Do you think that can happen and that will happen? Do you think that would keep it at parity? I guess, do you agree with that? And I mean, I guess mathematically it does, but do you think it would happen?
well, I think it definitely can happen. Forget about the OA. There's people who already would like to see that happen, right? They
Deep
have a lot,
pockets.
so they, and the OA has the deepest pockets. Now, will the OA do it? I don't know. I don't know what the OA does, Um, I guess we have some experience now that the OA, because it's very limited, right? I mean, we've only been in operation for these 3 years. The OA is not an entity you can talk to or one that makes announcements. You only judge based on their activity. The activity of the OA or suspected OA addresses have been to stake for big payday and then unstake. Since then, with their stakes, they haven't done anything with staking. No new stakes, no end staking. They just let their stakes run out, and community members have been GAing them. So we don't have a lot of history about what they do. We do know that they minted Hedron
Yeah.
and put that into liquidity along with the HEX, right? There's a Hedron HEX pair, and basically sold a lot of Hedron for HEX. Maybe it was one-sided, I don't remember. And that has since been removed. So they played a little bit in there. So yeah, it's quite possible that the OA may create that bridging LP, right? And I would find that to be very possible, but I just don't know. I guess I wouldn't bet my life on it because I just don't know enough about why they would or would not do it. There might be some reasons not to. Now, would I like it to happen? Yeah, I'd like that to happen, right? Because what it sets up, and I think this is one of the things that Johnny was getting after, what it sets up for us is the ability to nearly seamlessly move from ETH to Pulse without a sell event. And that would be very attractive.
From ETH to Pulse.
Yeah. So
Why?
I have all these existing HEX stakes, right? And some people have theorized they're just going to merge the end stake them all, but I don't know that makes sense to do that. So how do I get value from that side over to Pulse side? I either have to sell and go to a stable or USD off board and on board, right back in through whatever mechanisms might be out there to off board and on board, or I'm going to bridge, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm going through the process of bridging, if they're locked very tightly together, then a hex is a hex is a hex. So a hex on Ethereum is a hex on Pulsechain. And so if I've got 1,000 hex, I wrap it and I get 1,000, equivalent hex on the other side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's attractive to me. Now, how that all works out, I don't know yet.
Wait, but
We'll
why
find
can't
out.
you just why does it need to be at parity to be able to? Why can't you just bridge the hex, the e hex, and swap it?
Oh, you could. It would just be more advantageous to me to not have to worry about the risk of price swinging on me when I'm going from one side to the other.
Ah, okay. Saying that
Which yeah, with those being linked, right? The price would be there's always be a little bit arb, but I would think that there would be if they're that heavily linked, that was your supposition, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to see the price shift.
Okay. Within what it takes like a few seconds though to bridge. It's not.
Yeah, sure, but that can mean everything.
Okay, fair enough. And I guess he also mentioned that the OA could set the ratios with also heavy liquidity to the point where they're just going to go up together.
Mhm.
I mean, he said it would make Hex perform the best, but I think it would just make them all perform the same, right? He basically said he'll set the ratios between Pulse and Hex and PulseX and the liquidity pools with so much on either side that the ratios can't be changed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I heard you on a different stream mentioning that he said that.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about that. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure I've internalized that would be the case. That because somebody asked that question about the ratio always being the same, right? It would always be X amount of pulse per hex. I suppose that's possible, right? So, never say never. If you had unlimited pulse and unlimited hex, essentially, you could put a ratio in place that could not be changed.
And then I guess so if the dollar value changes, then it's arbitrage sort of thing. It's like hard to really think through, but I guess if let's say the prices move in different ways in the USD liquidity pool, that gets arbitraged by the by the uh, by the Hex Pulse Chain Pulse X liquidity pools. That's what it would mean.
Yeah, this is outside my area of expertise, but I take a stab at it. I mean, we're not talking about all pairs, right? So we're talking about a pair having that link. And so, yeah, technically, right, somebody could be putting in liquidity at a different rate that translates differently, which creates the arb opportunity, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, because you're talking hex to, well, actually, I don't know all the pairs you might have been thinking about, but let's just say we're talking hex pulse, right? On Pulsechain, and those are the two that are linked. Never going to change. Same number, of hex per pulse or hex, doesn't matter, either whichever way you go. Never going to change. And somebody comes in and puts in a different liquidity on hex using USDC than on Pulse, right?
Hmm.
Using USDC, and that, or assuming USDC is there, so whatever the equivalent would be. So yeah, I mean, if one was going to be overpriced and drive it in a different direction, I don't know. I don't know if that'd be like really fleeting and so small that you wouldn't even see it with the naked eye, kind of like 99 cent $1 USDC,
Hmm.
or whether it'd be a sore thumb, and people would see it right away. I don't know how it would look.
All right. I guess the question is, why wouldn't the OA want to do it? Because it would seem foolish for the OA to want one coin to not perform well, right? Like that's a bad look. If people got in on PulseX and like then it got totally outperformed by other ones, and it's just, I mean, wouldn't it be best for everything to perform the same? What do you think?
Well, I think I'd like that, but I don't know that I don't know that you can make that happen, you know. So it depends on degrees of, success. I mean, I think we would like the entire ecosystem to be successful. Um, if you're trying to measure by dollars and percent, I don't think that matters as much, and I don't think you can control it. Now, what I mean by that is, yeah, I guess if you're a big enough player, you can start to make some things happen. But I think it's really going to depend on people. If people sell,
No,
you
but
know,
if they bond the liquidity like so thick, right? Can't that make it happen?
well, that they all actively act the same way. Sure,
Yeah, yeah. So like, why wouldn't they
sure.
want it to happen?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think from that perspective, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about, you know, the prices being locked in that way, I agree with you. Why
All
would
right.
why wouldn't you want to do that? I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
So I guess there's a good chance that it would happen.
Well, it's presuming that you know something that you can't know.
It's true. That is a great
So
point.
it's definitely conjecture, but it doesn't mean it won't happen.
All right. Fair
Right?
enough.
It's just you can't call somebody up and ask, right?
Yeah.
You can't call somebody up and say, "Oh, what's going to happen?" I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some hint or something, but you know. And in fact, maybe I don't know. I don't know how close to being inside information that is, anyways. But I will react to what actually happens, I think.
Yeah. Same here. I'm just gonna DCA. So, I guess in terms of the ratio trading, there's a lot of people talking about ratios, and
Mm.
the first 2 days when there's a launch, you might be able to get some good deals or get some not good deals. Are you a fan of the ratio trading? Is there a specific plan that you have for when Pulse Chain launches that you would want to share?
Oh no, not that I want to share, but I think I already shared it, right? I mean, so um, it's a couple different things going on. So first off, don't be surprised if the time frame isn't what we think it's going to be. Would love it to be 2 days. That's great. So just be aware that things may move faster. What's advantageous to that time frame is the potential to do the swaps at no reporting requirement. I mean, maybe it's a reporting requirement, but it's at $0, right? So if you want to degen your little heart out, you could, with zero, dollars, right? Now, that being said, it does offer a huge opportunity for somebody to reassess their positions in that ecosystem and kind of like work it out. So if you were thinking you wanted whatever the numbers are, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, over there at $0, that's pretty straightforward to do. But you know, because you don't have to worry about all that's going on. But there's going to be some volatility risk, right?
Yeah.
And it's a three-way game at least. And I think that my sense is Pulse is going to go through the roof ratio-wise, while HEX plummets and PulseX plummets. And so if you're on the wrong side of that ratio, you know, you're going to get hurt. So I just urge extreme caution. Like I wouldn't mind swapping from Pulse to PulseX and from Pulse into HEX, but I'm not going to do that unless the ratios are useful to me. And so that means I need to understand what my ratios are, what I'm willing to do. And I think right now my feeling is, and this is very, very broad, is 3-to-1 on PulseX, you know, 3 PulseX to a Pulse is probably the range. A lot of people talked about that. And I think it's a little bit different figuring out the HEX. But I think anything where you know, you can pay 100 or less Pulse per HEX, probably a pretty good deal. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. So that's the thing I say is that, like, there's no way of knowing what a good ratio is because you don't know what the USD is going to be. So I wish I could have a time machine. You know, I wish Maddie would give me that damn DeLorean, and I'd go see what they're all trading at, and then I could know what a good ratio is. But I just think it's like it's a gamble. I think it's very, very silly, but maybe I'll degen a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. I think whatever it is, you should have it pre-planned in your head and just go with it. And if you're not sure, just don't take any action. But
Yeah.
because I think that you know, anytime because it's gonna be the equivalent of selling bottoms.
Yeah.
You know, buying tops. Just because the ratios go out of kilt doesn't mean they'll stay there, right? And so you might have been better off just taking no action at all. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. And the reason I brought it up the way I did is many of us had no idea there was going to be more than one sacrifice. So the sacrifice was for Pulse, right? So then afterwards, many, as we saw, many more people came into Pulse to get Pulse. Came into PulseX to get PulseX. And so you end up with all this other money in the PulseX, but those guys couldn't get any Pulse. So immediately, you know, there's always been a lot of chatter about getting Pulse for PulseX, right? And then once that closed, then the chatter was, well, how do you get involved? We'll get HEX.
Yeah.
Or some other token and swap it in. So you have these large portions of people who went into PulseX with the idea to get Pulse and went into HEX with the idea to get Pulse and PulseX. And so, yeah. So I don't think anybody, except for a few, went into Pulse or PulseX with the idea they were going to get HEX, because you could have already gotten HEX, right? So that wasn't the idea.
Yeah.
And so I think at least in that angle, you know, I think there's going to be there'll be net sellers of HEX for a while for sure.
Yeah, I like what you said also, that you think that Pulse Chain is gonna skyrocket in the ratios, because I mean there's no way of knowing, but like there are things we know, and we know that a lot more people got into PulseX than Pulse Chain, and those people didn't get Pulse and they want Pulse, so like it only really makes sense that Pulse Chain is probably going to be the ratio winner. Does that mean that you should be buying Pulse X and P HEX on day 1 and 2 as a sort of counter trader?
Well, if that's the direction the ratio goes, it might make sense.
Fair enough.
You know, and that whole thing comes to mind too. Like I don't know what's going to happen with this stuff, because look at what happened to us with well, us. Look, I've watched pretty carefully with POW and Fair, and to see, because I have a HEX stakes over there and just managing those. But it didn't take very long for the USDC and other stables to get totally drained, right? Because they weren't worth anything over there.
Mhm.
And they just totally drained right out. And I think you're going to see something like that with all these tokens and whatnot on Pulse. So I don't know how much your Crow is going to get you. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know how far your chilies are going to spread. You know, there's just only so much. That's another token.
Yeah. If there's like thin
Um,
liquidity, you're going to be facing an uphill battle.
yeah, and so we'll have to see. Yeah.
Well, first, Duke of Booze, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Really, really, very much appreciated. Cheers, everyone. Love what you do, Chrispy Man.
Hey,
There you go.
hey, nothing like a Canadian. I love that.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah.
Mm.
Nothing like a Canadian.
Hey, you know, there's different types of Canadians too. So I'll probably offend somebody, but I spent a lot of time up in Calgary. What an interesting place.
I heard it's like the Texas of Canada.
It's the Houston, yeah, the Houston of Canada. It is. A lot of people don't even realize why, and I'll probably get it wrong. But you up there, that's a cowboy town, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I bought my first set of boots.
There you go.
And you go up there and they have Stampede every year, which is an event, which is pretty cool, cool event. They have a lot of different things going on, including bull ride and all that stuff. But the long and the short of it is, it's an oil and cattle town, and the reason it's an oil and cattle town is two reasons: they got oil, right, and they herded over years boatloads of cattle up there from Texas. And so, yeah, it's kind of like at least I think they came from Texas originally. But yeah, pretty nice place. I love it.
Yeah.
Cold as hell though.
Got to check that out one day when I have money. I guess before
I went there for work, not vacation.
Oh, okay.
So, just saying.
Gotcha. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I see you're a mini whale, huh? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a mega. I'm not a mega whale. I wish I was.
I'm definitely not a mini whale.
Yeah.
I'm a lot less than that. I guess
I swim with the fishes, man.
what's it called? Is there any other charts you wanted to show that you know you
Yeah,
have
pop this up, and we'll. I'll just give. I just give a high level view. So yeah, yeah. So these are just some fun stuff, right? Some stuff I can't show you yet because we're gonna go. We're gonna go work on it and get it done. But you saw that little animation, so that's something I'm thinking I want to see for a lot of the other things that are out there. And currently working on this one here, which is this T-share. This is something I talked with Maddie about a couple weeks ago. But getting to the point where if we put in an address up here, like this guy's address, that we can over time track, exactly what happened with their stakes. And what did their position change? Did it go up? Did it go down? And did they change position? This is how I know I'm not a shark
a.
or a Poseidon or something, right? So that's one example. And then the rest of these are all charts that are very similar. We working also on the transaction lookup so that we can come in here and get transactions, any hex transaction, to do it very quickly. And then the Hexfire site is here, and and it is different in that it's a different URL, but it updates on an hourly basis. And probably the most important thing to note here, and somebody did ask this in chat, so it's kind of good timing. We're right here on the 14th, and so we are expecting a big change to take place in share rate.
That's the Godwell end stake.
I don't know if it's the Godwill's address or not, but Godwill has one that's supposed to be that I know is Godwill. It's supposed to be ending today, which isn't responsible for the increase, but we'd see maybe a little increase to 25.8. I don't know if you can see this really well on the screen. So I think that's quite the possibility. But then we have one that's supposed to end on the 16th, and that's the last day of its stake. So that means the person will end on the 17th through the 18th. An analysis, maybe that's been what they've done in the past. An analysis of their address shows that they've always ended their stakes. So I am thinking we'll see a little bit of a bounce up coming. So we have 3 dates that I think are important in the next few months. One is right now. So if you're on the fence with staking, you want a better rate. Today is the day to get in, before we
Ramp
see
up.
that increase. Yeah. Yeah, because that'll affect Hadron, it'll affect ICOSA, it'll affect HEX. Then you have the 26th of March is the next one, and then the 16th of April. 16th, 17th of April. So those are the 3 big ones that are coming up. And then we end up in a really weird spot. This year, if you see how I have these flat steps at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the flat steps, what they represent is a group of or a single stake that's going to come out and increase the share rate, right? But it looks flat for a period of time afterwards, right? It's because there aren't any other stakes on the books yet that will increase it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we come back the day after that stake ends, let's say it ends, and the share rate goes up. You come back the day after, people will have begun to stake. They'll stake 1 day, they'll stake 3 days, 6 days, 7 days, whatever. And so what'll happen is that flat will go on an incline. It'll start inclining, kind of like the red line at the bottom that shows the actuals. It'll start inclining and kind of fill in this gap. That's how it works. So we have some older, larger-ish stakes, March, April, May, that are going to get done, and it's going to increase the rate. But I should say February, March, and April. But then you look at May. Look at May. How there's no flats. Where are the flats? There's a couple little tiny flats, right? So we have a very large group. And the only thing I can think of is college, man, and university. Or summer. We have a very large group of stakes that are ending in May, and even as you progress throughout the summer, those are all stakes that are relatively old stakes that are going to be driving that price up. And there's lots of them because it's the only way the curve would look that way. Like there's like some 5,000 or something stakes ending in May. But there's no way you would have this incline. It would be flat steps if there weren't lots of stakes. And we know they're not short stakes because if they were short stakes, we'd have to be closer to that time frame. And so they're at least 90 days out or longer stakes. So anyway, interesting little bit for people. And we are on track by end of the year to be up at that 32, maybe higher level. The downside of these big jumps like this is that sometimes it's just one stake that's going to make that jump. And if the other stakes don't end, or that stake doesn't end, the other stakes don't pick it up, you'll just stay at the lower rate. And so in that way, it's possible that it doesn't happen. And this is a picture of it to show you this. So this is the one that's supposed to end on the 16th here. You see how it's all by itself up here?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only stake. There it is. All the rest of them are on an incline, right? But the one that causes the step is up here by itself. If this guy doesn't come as an end of stake, you don't see the increase. It doesn't happen. And so then, share rate will just stay down here, wherever it is, and just slowly creep up over time, which isn't a bad thing either. It's not a bad thing either. It's just how it is.
Wow. It's a lot of
So,
meaningful information, like very practical when it comes to, planning your stakes. I was not planning on staking within the next 2 days, but I might have to do that.
yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know that it's a call to action to do something new, you know. But it's definitely, if you were sitting on something waiting to stake, it was definitely a call to action to do it now rather than waiting. You know.
Yeah, because I have so much liquid now because I'm waiting for the launch, and it's getting too much. Where it's like I wish this was being put to work, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'd make a joke you could sell. But...
yeah, yeah. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. So I guess for your listeners, yeah, or watchers and listeners, if you guys go over to hexfire.io, you'll have access to this site, and may have some feedback or something. Send me a note, send me a message, and you can check. You can go look me up on Patreon as well. It's hexfire.io over on Patreon, and just adding in the additional tools and stuff. I'm getting kind of fancy now with with annotations and animations and whatnot. Because the initial focus on the site is how do I get all this data and get it up there? So I got that. It's kind of old school. Now I'm going to go a little bit more functional. I think we'll see.
All right. I have more questions. You mind if I just step out for a second? Go take that leak. You could talk about the Patreon. Patreon, show the Patreon or the chat, whatever, wherever you want to take it. I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
30 minutes or
seconds.
All right. Can you keep the screen up?
Yeah, it's up.
All right. All right, guys. You got a question? Throw it in the chat there, and I'll jump on it. Yep, Red Squirrel. That's what I was getting at about the bridge. You don't know if it's going to be a day or 2 days. It could be 3 days. Who could guess what it might happen? And good to see you, Red Squirrel. I see my South African buddy was on the stream. I don't know if you're still here. And my Southern California or Southern Floridian. I see you on the stream as well. Yeah, Axel, I disagree. So we'll just pass on that one, on that message. I can't display them because I'm not in control here. Absolutely think 369 is the key to the universe. I do agree with that. It's funny those numbers are really real numbers, right? That affect us. And I don't know the meaning of big dollar factory, but if it means bigger dollars for me, I'm pretty good. And Clayton, I'm not sure. End of what bill? The time frame on the end of which bill? My bills end every month. I don't know. Oh, bull. Very good. Hey, I track that pretty closely. So I called the top on the day, and tongue in cheek, mirroring Richard, but truth. Why? Because you can follow 369, or sometimes what we call the golden rule or the golden ratio, and you could clearly see that that BTC at the time was in a parabola. And when it finally blows off, and it was kind of more of a whimper, and it drops out of the parabola, that's usually the top, right? And so using something very similar from a guy by the name of Phillips, I believe is his name. I have some charts, which I can't show you on the screen, that I follow pretty closely. And though it's you can look it up on TradingView. It's pretty cool one. It's called Golden Ratio.
Want me to put it up?
Yeah, you can do that. That's fine. It's GRM, or Golden Ratio, and I can actually grab the link maybe to that later.
Yeah. You want to do it?
Yeah, let's see. You have your screen up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pull.
All right,
It just do an indicator for GRM. It'll show up right away.
Oh.
Nah, I went the wrong way. All right, let me see if I can grab this thing on my screen.
Wait.
I wasn't prepared to bring him up, but
You got on your screen?
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to grab them.
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring trade and view up, and we'll do it that way.
Meantime, we got 102 watching, so please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And then go follow at Chrispy Man. Chrispy as in Chris, the name, Chrispy Man, CHRISPY, man _2, right?
Yeah, I'll throw that in the chat too. I'm a pain in the ass because I didn't get my branding down right. Because I wasn't thinking at the time that I did that. All right, so let's see. I think I got my screen up there. Yeah, for this. All right, you see this? You see this up here? This chart.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is actually on HEX, and so it'll be a little bit clearer when we look at the others. Key numbers here. Let's see. I'm on day scale, 1 year. I don't pay for this one, so I'm on the 1 year.
Me neither.
So you can see how the price has been bouncing around over here. This is the 111-day moving average,
Mm-hmm.
and predominantly, in the past, when we break above the 111, we're moving towards the end of the bear. Now, confirmation comes once we get a crossover.
The Golden Cross.
That's one of them, yeah. The crossover of first price over the 350-day moving average, and then the 1.6 of the 350-day moving average. And so, yeah, so I'm looking for this black line to cross these lines up here to call it the end of the bear, and it's confirmation. But that doesn't mean price hasn't been going up, and it also doesn't mean price won't go down, right?
Yeah.
And so when we look at these guys, you can see that we got a lot closer with Bitcoin than we did HEX so far. But both Bitcoin and ETH have curled, right? So they almost look like the same chart. They've kind of curled down. Yeah, I'm not really a great TA kind of guy, but I just know that when I watched these these crossover, that big events happen. And so if I go back, let me see if I got Bitstamp here or not. That's Bitstamp. So if we go look at the top right over here, which we'll look around my camera, back in April of 21, see how we had the 111 cross
Yeah.
right there on that green spot? That signified roughly the top right here.
Yeah.
Right. It's within a couple days. And when you're looking at the ratios, like you can't tell how close they are on the screen because of the lines. But if you're looking at the ratios, I had like a ratio indicator. It's like right on the day that was it, right, for April. And then you knew back at the beginning here, back in 18. Yeah, so this one's not showing me the other line that I want to look at, but you can just see how it kind of followed along and how we knew, where the prices were on here. I'm not sure if this indicator is exactly the same as the one I'm using, but we also, if you go back here, you can see it crossed at the top. It's kind of creepy that it's true. This is Bitcoin, by the way, but I don't know if you can see that those lines crossed at the top as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now some people argue cause and effect and lag, but if you're looking at the day and you're comparing the prices, you can see that. And then where did it cross? At the top. Where did it cross? At the top. It went all the way back to 13. So the guy's name is Philip Swift. That's the guy I was thinking of.
Is this the pi cycle cross? They talk about the pi cycle cross.
Yeah, there's a lot of different names, and it comes up in different ways that people show it.
Yeah. So the thing is like it always comes. There's always a way of tricking you, and people thought that it was going 100,000 after that cross, and they're like, okay, it's invalid, and then right back down. So it's like never. There's always a curveball But
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, you always have to be careful of, right? Is you can expect things to rhyme probably, but not necessarily be the same thing, right?
yeah,
And it's always a day-to-day decision. Like you could say, hey, we're actually in the bowl, but you won't know until 2 months after. It's
yeah,
like it's like confirm, meaning everybody will say a bunch of stuff, but you won't confirm any of these indicators until weeks go by, because you just can't confirm things that are lagging until they actually have time to play out. And so then the rest of Clayton's question is, and I don't know if you meant to ask this or not, but as far as the bull, so far, 4-year cycles have been a real thing. Do I know if they're lengthening or shortening? I don't know. We had
CP.
this, it was weird. This last thing weird, it was weird. By one point of view, we topped in April and therefore it was over in April. But then we saw the fake pump, if you want to call it fake. I mean, it was real money, but the fake pump going into November. But November was like the end of the 4-year cycle time. It was like right on, like
Yeah,
within days. So are we in 4-year cycle? I don't know. I wouldn't discount it.
I think the cycle's still intact, right? Because
This,
it did top out technically in line with
well,
the 4-year cycle.
yeah, all my planning goes along those lines. So if I was to tell somebody they needed to make a plan, I would be planning to get yourself straight by mid to end of 25. And if you're staying in crypto, which you probably should be, but that's your decision, then you'd be ready for a bear in 26, 27, and for another cycle. So whatever that means to you, whether that means all in, you're not pulling anything out and you're working 3 gigs, or it means you're going to pull, profits, whatever it means to you, just don't pretend that this stuff isn't going to happen.
So you know what I said? I said the 4-year cycle, it's going to break, right? Like it's only inevitable. I mean, just the question
Hmm.
is when, right? I mean, because when everyone knows about something, I mean, I don't know when, but it is going to break. Like we can't just keep on having everyone buys the dip and then everyone, sells the rip,
Well, it'd be funny if people listened, right? But they don't listen anyways to it. So it's like, so yeah, you're right. If we all have eyeballs on it and we all expect that it's going to do something different.
yeah, because the market dynamics shift because people front run it and then people maybe try and buy
But
the, yeah.
yeah, but even as we're talking about it, at least half the people don't believe what we just said.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
like you believe it, I believe it, maybe. I mean, I do believe it. I mean, maybe the two of us are in agreement that we're in 4-year cycles, but there's 80% of the people are like, oh no, this time's different. You guys are wrong. It's
sure.
shorter, it's longer, it's
No,
upside down. We're right translated now. Whatever. I
so
mean,
no, so the 4-year cycle, it's because of the Bitcoin halving, right?
mhm.
Demand is the same, and then the supply, like part of the price is future demand, and then that gets cut in half, and you have the same amount of buyers, whatever. So I said I had an interesting to me it was interesting. My guess for when the 4-year cycle breaks is when Ethereum flips Bitcoin because then the halving loses significance because Bitcoin is less of the market share. What do you think about that?
Well, I definitely think that that has driven, the halvings have driven the cycles. I'm not sure about the rest, but now this guy who's in our chat right now, the one was asking about managing risk. Demetrius, do you know what he means?
You're all please manage risk. He's saying
You're all
he's.
cooked. Well, the cooked I take is negative, but the
I don't
but
know.
but the might be negative.
Okay, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if you know, but yeah. I think the way I would interpret that question about managing risk is, yes. That very first line that everybody tries to tell you when you come into crypto, don't put more in than you're willing to lose. You probably should be following that.
yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's the biggest risk management question. But
There's
again, that's one of those ones everybody blows off. That one and that one. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Except that then they lose their money. They're very unhappy because it was more than they're willing to lose, or they can afford to lose. And the other is that dips are in the game.
yeah. So yeah, that is true. I agree with all that. But I guess the question is, so the 4-year cycle seems like we're both kind of believers in the 4-year cycle. But then there's the Richard Hart 11K in prey. A lot of people are thinking that Bitcoin's going to hit 11K, and that would be the longest top to bottom, right? That would be a pretty, at this point, probably a breaking of the 4-year cycle. Do you think we're going to get 11K?
I wouldn't bet my life that we won't. You know, I also wouldn't bet that we will. Right, so I'm somewhere in the middle with this. I think it's as possible as any number of other things that we talked about. Right, and what do I mean by that? I mean COVID dip, right? We can look at that on this chart since I have it up here. I mean, we clearly weren't in the throes of a bear. When the COVID dip hit, right? We'd already come out. Price had come up over the 111. This was coming up. We had the COVID dip that none of us really expected. I mean, in retrospect, it made sense. Yes, there was some special circumstances because of the COVID, right? But every big thing at least has some reason around it. That was another 60%.
Yeah.
62%. And so if you're looking at 60% off where we at right now at 22, right? And so
that's like 9.9 or something.
Yeah. So is it in the game? Yeah, it's like 9. So it is in the game? Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Okay, but if you had to choose one, because yeah.
I would choose I don't want to dip.
Okay, so
but that's me wanting. I mean, it's not me knowing what's going to happen and what's going to happen with it. Now, but I've already, I already have my plans in place, right? I'm already doing my thing. I'm already doing the DCA that I plan to do. I'm already doing the selling that I plan to sell, and when I have my plans because I thought it out far enough, and that might include not selling, and not buying. Well, I got to tell you, I was addicted to it, so buying more.
Well,
so it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to sit on the sidelines with very low prices and not buy. But
yeah, I just stick to the DCA, but no. So I said that it's very hard for me to see 11K. I mean, we had our sort of Mount Gox kind of situation with FTX. I mean, could it get any worse? I mean, I could think it was. Yeah, but I mean, from the perspective of like the story of the bear market, it really seems like our black swan is in. The time frame of the 4-year cycle says the bottom's in. We're at the point where everybody that's holding Bitcoin at this point, they're probably not going to panic sell based on news because they would have sold already if that was the case, right? Does this mean we're going all-time highs? No. I mean, we could have another 60% dip, if pumping up after we pump to like 40K or whatever. I don't know. But it's like we're so oversold and there's been so much pain thrown at us. And crypto is so fringe at this point. Nobody's touching it. Like, how much more downside could there be? I just can't imagine 11K happening. The only argument is that Richard Hart said otherwise, but for me, that's not good enough. But what do you think about what I just said?
I have, I have mixed feelings, but I think it can happen. Maybe the percentage changes have dropped. It's not going to happen. But I see Johnny, so you're talking about him the whole stream.
Yeah, Johnny's got some rewinding to do. I presented Chrispy Man with a lot of your thoughts on the OA and things like that.
Yeah, I couldn't answer him well, but I mean, yeah, I don't know which perspective to answer your question from. Um, yes, I think it's pretty likely the bottom is already in, and we've seen that, and then in 2 months we can confirm. But I also haven't put myself in a place where if we go to 11K, that's going to be a problem,
Yeah, me
right?
too.
And so, and maybe it sounds like fancy wording, but I got a plan, man. I screwed up my plan a bunch of times, fell
Yep.
off the plan a bunch of times, put my plan back together. But the plan is to, have a trading plan, right? Or I shouldn't even say trading, it's more like a staking plan. But what am I doing with my stakes and what I'm doing with my assets? And right now is a time where I don't want to lose any and little as possible. And later on, I think the market will swing up in that 4-year cycle we were talking about.
Okay, fair enough. I guess here's another question. I got some questions for you, man.
I know
Richard
you keep
Hart.
going.
Yeah, we got till 8:30. Let's go,
I know. Uh,
guys. Get comfortable. We don't have to go that long, but and obviously, if you need to go, we have the private chat. You could always let me know. And if you need restroom break,
I've got a
there's a,
bottle right here. I'm good.
okay, awesome. Okay, so here's the question. So Richard Hart doubled down at the HEX conference. Should we take away this just for now, I
Yeah,
guess?
yeah, go take it down.
You could always just let me know and we'll put it back up. But he doubled down on 11K and Prey, right? He doubled down. So people are saying that, oh yeah, he said really 14K or the grayscale discount. That's not true because he doubled down very recently when Bitcoin was already at 15. So the question is, there are probably a lot of people. You could say whether it's correlated or not, and that's the whole thing you get into in itself. And Johnny obviously says no, and he gives good reason. But there are a lot of people that think it's correlated, and they have sold HEX or are not buying HEX because they think they're going to get under a penny at 11K because Richard Hart said so. So is Richard Hart hurting the HEX price by doubling down on his 11K and Prey price target?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And anyway, I guess we could discuss that a little bit, but I appreciate his candor about what could happen in the overall market because I think that positive value probably overcompensates for any distraction away from the hex price because somebody decides they're not going to buy into hex for that. So the good probably is more from letting people, letting people know, hey, listen, the market could still do a 60% dip.
You're saying that
Right?
gets people more
I
interested in his
no
stuff.
no I think it's more I just think it's better service to people, which he's proven he likes to do,
But
right?
we're
Provide
talking
good
about for
service.
the hex price. The hex price.
I know, but you're asking me which is better. Um, so I'm
I know
just
I'm in it for the tech, but I want to know which one's better for
uh,
the price.
well, I think for people, it's good for him to share what he really believes about that because he's been uncannily correct.
That's true. I agree with that.
But all right, so is it a bad thing to say that? And your supposition is he said that, therefore people aren't buying hex because they think there'll be a lower price. All right. Sounds to me like they play with knives.
They're
That's what it
definitely playing with
sounds like.
knives, but is it
And
hurting the price?
no, I think we're pumping, right?
We
So
are
we're
pumping.
so what's our price?
We could have
I'm
pumped
we're
more. We
fi-
could have pumped more.
yeah, okay. Everything has an effect.
Yeah,
Everything has an effect. I mean, is it hurting the price? Probably not. I mean, who are these people anyways, dude? I mean,
the whales.
well, you say the whales. I think it's the scalpers, it's the traders, you know, not so much the staking whales, but it's people who are doing that. And, they're in a whole different a whole different angle, right? And what they're doing. I mean, that might be so big. But anyways, yeah, okay. I think that maybe it delays that. Maybe it delays it. But
Yeah.
they're going to do what they're going to do, like Johnny was just saying. I mean, as far as if they're not going to go in, I know at least one person who said to me, "Hey, when it's 2.6, this is bull. I'm getting out. I'm going to wait for it to go to 1.5." And guess what? They actually got out.
That's sad.
And so what are they doing now? Waiting for the price to come back. That's what they're waiting.
He's a very
So
smart man. He said, those who wait for a penny will buy it at a nickel.
yeah, he just yeah. Well, and yeah, that's true. And how many of us haven't done that? Right? We've all done that. I mean, I guess I can't speak for you guys, but I mean,
No,
I've
I've
done
done
that.
it. Not
I
with
didn't do
Hex.
it. I didn't do it on purpose. Didn't make me feel smart. Doesn't make me feel smart to admit it now. But I bought more than one top and sold bottoms. So it's just because we're wired that way.
Yeah, yeah. I call it trying to pick up under a penny in front of freight trains.
Hey, Stephen, I don't know if I sound excited or not, but let me know if you really mean that or you're referring to how quiet and low key I am.
I don't know.
Like, know the difference.
Yeah, no.
I,
Yeah, I don't think you always sound excited, but you're definitely easy to listen to. That voice is like cinematic.
that's what I'm selling, man. You get to hear it on our in our Discord whenever you want, man. You come on
That's
over.
right. Guys, get in the Patreon. We're going to show that later as well. And what do you think about Valerie T-Share saying Chrispy Man is one of the most valuable assets the Hex community has? Thanks for. I agree.
Now, she's the most valuable asset. Let me tell you. So,
Yeah, I
I
can
don't
agree
know
with
if
that too.
you've seen Val on Valerie on Twitter,
I have
but
not.
always jumping in and giving people support, right?
Oh,
And pumping them up. So worth a follow. We got to find her
yeah.
though.
All right. Thank you for that, Valerie T-Share. Um. Okay. So I guess we could say
Oh yeah,
Hex. But yeah,
I should say thank you too. Thank you, Valerie.
yes, we appreciate it. Not pumping us up, not just pumping our backs. um, let's go to the Hex. You want to bring it up on your computer? I think it's better when you control it.
Sure. What do you want to look at?
Yeah, I guess where has the Hex price bottomed? Can we say that the Hex price has bottomed?
Um, I don't. Again, I'm not the TA guy to be able to do all this, but yeah, I mean, from my perspective, it is. I was looking at the two, the O2 level and 1.7 when it was happening. It seems reasonable to me that the bottom's in. Not that we can't come revisit it. Now, I'm learning in this area. This I'll tell you, I'm learning in this area, particularly listening a lot to Axis and some of these other folks
Everyone's
having.
talking about Axis, man. I gotta watch Axis.
Because he get me all pumped up, man.
He said the bottom's in.
Now, I don't know if he said the bottom's in, but he gets me all pumped up, right? About
I thought you
being
don't get
all.
excited.
I didn't say I didn't get excited, but I wasn't sure if that's what he meant. But anyways, it's pretty it's pretty exciting. And so when I've been talking to him about things like liquidity and just trying, because it's hard sometimes to get your head around how liquidity affects things and then volatility. We got like this huge show that we'll put on here soon, where he's going to go through and basically it's probably going to look like him teaching me what the hell, but volatility looks like and what it is. But you can clearly see over time like huge indicators when you should be swapping in, like huge indicators, right? Having to do with volatility and then combining that again with liquidity. So we'll get a chance to talk about all that stuff. Is the bottom in? Yeah, I'm just going to say I think it is. I think it's in, but again, can't say it won't come down again.
Yeah, and a lot of what people talk about is like they want confirmation, And I actually wrote about this on my website. If you guys go to furufinance.com, really, first of all, so with regard to the bottom being in, like people wait for confirmation. They want confirmation. But what is confirmation really? It's just higher prices. And it doesn't necessarily mean it is in or not. First of all, so if you're buying the confirmation, you're getting half your bag, in comparison to like dollar cost averaging or just buying lower. I'm saying you're getting considerably less gains in the bull market, right? I mean, that was like the first point. So you could attack that point if you want. I know you had something you want to say.
Oh no, I'm just listening. I don't think if we are going to confirm, we're not going to confirm until probably April or May. That's why I was just drawing a little cross there.
And how high would we be?
Anywhere for me, anywhere in that range, because I was just looking at the averages. But somewhere in this type of vicinity, so it could be very close to the same price, maybe a little bit higher. What I was looking at is the averages, and I did a really rough trend.
Okay. But even in this range, you're getting you're getting more than 60% less than if you would have dollar cost averaged the past couple of months. That's why I think the confirmation's silly. Another reason.
Well, yeah. I mean, you talk about philosophy when to buy, right? So if you were looking to buy, that's a whole different question. You're asking. I thought you were asking, and I'm kind of teasing you a little bit. I think you were asking about being able to verify at the end was, the bottom was in, right?
Yeah.
So let me throw up this guy. So Coast Guard vet?
No.
CSG vet. So he's part of the community. Good guy. I like him a lot. But
and I like him too.
So he had put this indicator together, which is based on some other things that he understood. But the buy signals have been in since May of 22, right? So if I was following this strictly, this is just an example, I would have been DCing all this time, just like you just said, right? Because this is when these signals came in, and you say, well, that, maybe that's just bull, right? What do we need to worry about that for? Well, let's go look at what happened. We go look at Ethereum. Ethereum gave us around the same time frame, right? What happened last time for Ethereum? Oh, look, right before the bottom, it said start buying, right? This isn't buy right this second. It's likely if you begin to buy
accumulation
and accumulate now, you're going to do very well later, right? So that's what that one said. Let's go look at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, the same thing, have fewer clusters. But around the same time frame, July, August last year, it was time to start buying. HEX led that a little bit. A little bit slow to it here, but January of 19, right? Start buying.
Yeah.
September of 18. You can go back and look at these, coming off of the 2013, 2014 highs, when it was time to buy, what it looked like afterwards. Now, none of these things guaranteed to happen exactly, but the indicators really start telling you, hey, start DCing in. So I agree with you, and maybe this is the point you're trying to get to. I agree with you. It's just simply saying you need confirmation. What does that mean? It just means for me that I think it's more likely that we're going to continue going up, and I'll have less grin and bear it days. That's all.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, for not obviously for your call confirmation. It was for the people that like think that I'm gonna wait for confirmation to buy. It's like you're already late on that. Like once the confirmation comes, once the bottom pattern forms and we have like higher prices, you're missing out.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and this is sometimes people feel this when they come to, they come to it. Sure, it would have made sense for me to buy 10 times more ETH at $80, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would have made sense. But the ETH that I bought at $600 was pretty good when I sold it at 4,000.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
then when you come into these things and you think you're early, you think you're late, and people decide, it always comes back. I always like, that's why I follow the DCA. I like DCA. Like right now,
DCA.
I've been DCAing into ETH for a long time now, a long time, and it's silly. It'll sound like silly numbers to you, and I don't promote the old Robinhood per se, but I do utilize Robinhood as one of my on ramp off ramps, and I can send ETH from my Robinhood account over. And you know what else I can do? You know, I
I
said
thought
it from,
Robinhood, you don't get the actual ETH.
I don't know, man. It shows up in my wallet as ETH.
Oh, maybe they changed it. Huh?
Yeah, they implemented it last year.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing, right? If you know, love everything we're doing crypto. No, I don't support centralized exchanges, but I got to figure out how I'm going to get my ETH that I want to use for transactions in the future. Man, I just set it and forget it. Thing buys me for a while. There was just buying $2 a day, because it lets you do it. And yeah, you get an argument about cost and all this other stuff. It doesn't really cost me anything more. It's whatever their spot price is,
Mhm.
and it's convenient for me. So I think I'm up to about $5 a day or something with it, which is a very silly amount. But I got stakes that I want to pay in the
Yeah,
future, and so $5 a day is just fine for me. I don't even have to think about that. I spent $8 at Dunkin' Donuts today, for
yeah,
one coffee and a freaking donut. So $5, buy the ETH. I don't care if it goes up 10,000x, right? Because I'll have it.
that's a great point, and I think I'm
Um,
going to start doing that.
and if you feel, from a security perspective, not your keys, not your coins, yeah, once a month, transfer it over, whatever makes sense.
Yeah, great point. Great
Yeah,
point.
it's a great way. It's a great way to onboard, offboard. Or on ramp, off ramp. I off ramp something, through there because they'll also accept the Ethin and the USDC, and they're doing other tokens and stuff. I keep sending them emails about HEX, but they
They're
haven't
not going to
responded.
listen.
They haven't responded. It'd be real. That would be sweet, man. I would like it nothing more than the novelty of it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's once like back in the day with Bitcoin, like you had to. It took like a week to buy Bitcoin or something.
Yeah, at times. At
And
times, yeah.
that was the opportunity. So like I that's a question. So I think that yeah, I embrace the opportunity. But do you think can you see in the future Hex being on Robinhood, on Coinbase, on all these centralized exchanges?
Yeah, probability of that may be pretty low. Should it be? Yeah, probably. I mean, well, you see some of the turds that they put on these things.
Yeah,
I mean, the outright scams,
yeah,
right? Or things that we think are pretty scammy. Um, do I feel like Hex is that way? No, of course not. Of course I don't, right? But why wouldn't it be there? Well, it may not be the best thing for Hex to be on central exchanges. I know that you can make an argument that if it was, you get a lot more eyeballs and stuff on it. So perhaps that's true. I think there's, I think every day that goes by, the higher the likelihood it is it'll show up on one of those exchanges.
yeah. I think it will happen. Because if Hex, it's already getting so many new onboards. I mean, we've had like triple digit onboards last week or something for like 5 days in a row. And if enough people want it and they don't they don't adapt, then they're going to get left behind because there are going to be smaller centralized exchanges that will adopt it and will take their users. So I think it's an inevitable thing that will play. I mean just seeing the direction in which things are going, I can't imagine it not being right. More and more people like it, then they're going to want to list what people want because that's good for business.
Well, sure. I think that even though we talk about Hex the way we do, um, again, like you said, the numbers are lower than you would expect. Um, and I mean, it's just not as much. And we're not a trading community, even though we have traders, right?
Yeah,
Not like a trading community. So they make money on volume.
that's true.
So what what I think is more likely in terms of like, the cost benefit for them is when Pulse launches, which will be highly traded, it will be highly valuable to carry those pairs and to suck up those fees. So I think HEX being listed as a outcome of Pulse launch, because Pulse and PulseX is listed, is more likely than by itself, which has obviously been the case. Now, the only way you get around that is, and people, I don't know if people don't believe this or not. It's not just bullshit that that these market listing companies charge. This is very real. Back in 2017, I was in a project. It was $500,000. You had to send them $500,000 to get the thing listed, or what they agreed to, an equivalent of coins. So yeah, it's a very real thing. So you either pay or they don't list you, or there has to be a way for them to make a profit. So
Yeah, so I think, once they're doing polls, right, like they may as well do HEX. It'll bring users to their exchange. Even if they don't trade the HEX, they'll trade other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, come for the, what's the saying? Like,
yep.
I think it's gonna happen.
It may. This has been a conversation from day one.
Also, they could make money off, like they might do their own like third party staking, the way they do it with Ethereum, which actually they're cracking down on SEC. So I don't know what the future of that is.
Maybe.
But there are a lot of people, there are a lot of nomads that, I mean, we all say like, oh, not your keys, not your coins. And that's true, but there are a lot of people that are just not even interested in like self custody. And if like they could see the exchange will just do it for them and give them like, let's say 20% on a 28% APY, they might just suck the middleman.
Well, it would seem like it makes sense, but yeah, I don't know what will happen with the staking, but you would think that would be the case. But like some of the guys here in the chat, I think, let's see, Johnny said that yeah, hey, if Pulse is listed, you don't need HEX list. That's probably accurate, right? Because once you've got that up there, unless they did the pairs. I also saw Miles mentioned this above that about the Kraken. I saw that. I reposted it on, I retweeted it. Number 11 on Kraken. I think yeah, even though they don't allow you to do anything with it there. I mean, the fact that it's on page 2 at number 11, that's pretty big. And so yeah, I think every one of these things kind of pushes it further in front of people's eyeballs.
Yeah.
I mean, the people I know that know, yeah, listen, I told everybody I got into HEX, and they all thought I was nuts. I mean, they literally laughed out loud.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you could laugh out loud about any crypto you get into.
Sure.
But people weren't like, beating down my door. But after 3 years, they're like, how's that HEX thing doing? Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. How, they called me up during a bear. How things going? Fantastic, man. Fantastic. I mean, so people eventually will hear more about it, and the longer it's around, the more likely it'll be around the same amount of time. That stuff.
Yeah. And Johnny Chaos says we petitioned for Coinbase listing. We had 80 video requests. They ignored us. Yeah. Well, I mean, HEX is not ready yet. That doesn't mean they won't do it. In my opinion, I think it's just not ready. But you know what will make it ready, Johnny? The TikToks. No, Johnny doesn't like the TikToks.
Oh, really?
Well, he likes them. He actually, I DM'd him. I'm like, could you start getting on TikTok? And he's like, I was. And he didn't get a lot of engagement, but he shut down his TikTok, but then he reopened it because I asked him, and I think he posted a few times too. So, we're grateful for that. Did you see the numbers that we were getting on TikTok?
Yeah, I was listening to your video yesterday. You were on with, actually, you were on live with Funding Jim. I saw that. You were talking about that. I don't know what the numbers are. I just hear 150,000. Oh man. 250,000, 1 million.
We gotta show you this.
I was thinking about taking my shirt off and wearing a bra, but
just
outrage
marketing.
get some outrage marketing, but then I get too many fan letters, and I don't, don't go in that direction.
crypto chain.
That guy looks like a lot like Johnny.
Yeah, that's because I took his video and I posted on my page.
Yeah, I've seen a couple come up.
Look at this. This was posted by Jamie Crypto. Look at the numbers he's getting. He got 80,000 on this one. He got 343,000 on this one. And like even these, which are getting like 10,000, 6,000, 25, that's more than anything anyone's getting on YouTube, including Crypto Coffee.
Let's do it.
Yeah, no. And then we have there were a couple other ones. There's Nico Hilsensauer, Nico H Education. Yeah, look at these numbers, man. 132,000 right here. That's incredible. Of Richard Hart. I mean, this is really where virality happens. 75,000 here.
Are the ones with the black background and the white lettering, are those high numbers?
Which ones?
Like any of the ones that have no, the one to the right, like the black background of the letters.
Oh, this?
Yeah, any of those. Are those like, is that seem to be a pattern?
Well, this one's not.
I guess I was just trying to see which ones are grabbing the attention.
The ones that grab the attention are, I mean, there is a little bit of randomness, but I noticed like when I pick on the XRP community, they're very engaging. So it grabs attention. Also, when you put half the screen video game for people's like ADHD, there was.
Yeah, I like XRP a lot. Not that I think it's a better crypto than HEX. I just the community I like a lot.
Yeah, but it's so unfortunate because maybe there is promising tech, but they just keep on getting dumped on. But
yeah, there's a whole inside story with that. Yeah, well, yeah, of course. I mean, but that was always the case and very transparent from the very beginning, right?
Yeah, I would want you to elaborate on that. But let me just show you. This is 572,000. I mean, we're getting millions of views on Richard Hart, underratedly. And that's why, guys, make sure I'm actually going to link it here. Get in the Telegram, start making TikToks. And if you don't want to make TikToks, start supporting people that are making it because they post in the Telegram. And then basically what you do is you just like and repost them, share it on your Twitter, comment. These things make it go viral. So yeah, guys, please get in the Telegram. But what are your thoughts on the TikTok movement?
Well, I just realized there was Instagram not too long ago, so I'm a little late to the game.
Things move fast.
Yeah, I know, man. Instagram. Well, I did follow the creation of TikTok and how it was very sensational. It was not what it is today when it started. It was much more for kids, literally for kids. And then it crossed over to mainstream and things have really taken off. Then we had kind of that scare about don't load the app, they're spying on you.
Yeah.
Right. So I had that.
Yeah, Microsoft's not. Yeah, Google's not doing it.
So I'm kind of I think in some place in my mind, I'm really disturbed by the whole clip movement, because it is so fleeting and I'm caught up in it, and it's so fleeting and there's just these tiny things that are just kind of like biting at you all the time. So I don't know if it's good for people in general, but as far as advertising and stuff, yeah, that's what it is. And I said to my wife, much like I said a moment ago, I wish I was blonde. I wear a big bra, man. I'd get tons of people looking at my shorts, right? And now I'm sure that's not the only thing, but you can see some of the best shorts out there are awesome, and it's like 3 people plus you watched it.
Yeah.
And so there's things that are selling. And I've got caught in some of them too. Some of these crappy ones. Like I was thinking maybe what I do is just put up a poster, a HEX, and say, "Wait till the end," and just not add any more content.
No, you could do that. That works.
I know, because apparently that's exactly what happens to me every time I wait to the end. I'm sitting there watching for something that never happens. I get kind of mad, right? But
Yeah.
I can't do anything to the short, right? Can't hurt the TikToker. But
Yeah.
I guess I could unlike it or not like it or something, right? Anyways, I think it's pretty good. I think it's part of what we have going on. I think you were saying this yesterday. It is reality. So whether I like it or not makes no
Yeah.
difference. It has to do with what's actually
The
happening
trend.
in the space. Well, the trend and the costs that are involved and etc. Um, just from being in small business and then in big business, yeah, advertising's expensive, dude. Marketing's expensive, and you can easily spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and get nowhere. And be focused on all the wrong things. And so kind of going grassroots, feeling it out, seeing what's trending, matching topics. Yeah, it's a way to go to do
Yeah.
more of that out there. Now, whether your content's good or not, I don't know.
Yeah. But as far the trend's your friend until the end, and it's funny how like people could spend so much money when the best things in life are free. And when I say the best things, I mean the best marketing for Hex is TikTok. It's not these other things are not cost effective, and they're not even as effective because you're not getting straight to the demographic that you want to target like you do with TikTok. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you can get right down to the demographics.
Right down just a hashtag.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
right down there, and and I'm sure there's some analytics available to you
Yeah.
to be able to target. Well, you do it through the hashtag, anyways, right? I mean, essentially, they target themselves by hashtagging,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's kind of what happens if I'm a user and I'm watching, or I guess if I'm a user, it's only the hashtags that I actually see. But if I'm a creator, the hashtags I use kind of qualify me. Yeah.
Yeah. So what it does is they process what you're interested in, and then they keep feeding you. So if they see that you're someone who it's an interest algorithm. So if you're interested in crypto, they're going to keep on giving you crypto. If you're interested in XRP, they're going to keep on. The process is that this user is an XRP guy. Well, let's keep on bringing him the XRP stuff, and they do that based on like how long you watch it. Like the duration. Like if you skip it quickly, they process that. If you like it, if you comment, all those things, tell them what they should keep feeding you, and they keep on and on. They keep on giving it to you.
So that's why I keep getting all these pictures of feet.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
I have a buddy that my best friend, right? If I show him a picture of someone's foot, he'd knock me out. It's how foot phobic he is. Not leaning that way. So I think I think the shorts obviously are doing it. I mean, I'm consuming them, right? So
Yeah,
whether I want
me
to
too.
or not, I see 50 of them a day.
Yeah,
Right?
what you mentioned before the women, like women do very well on TikTok. We have
Well, they do really well for me.
and therefore for me and for everyone, right?
Now whether or not anybody else is clicking the thing, I don't know. But I know that every time my wife comes up behind me, I happen to be looking at some stupid thing that popped up on my screen, right? So
there you go. Well, Yori got 14,000 followers in like a matter of months. These women do obviously a lot better because
I think I'm following her too.
Yeah. But why are there so many of these beautiful Hex women on Twitter? Why aren't they on TikTok where they can be getting outbound marketing and they could be getting a lot more engagement per their effort? It really bothers me a little bit.
So you're saying why aren't they on TikTok?
Yeah, they got everything that it takes to make it on TikTok, and they're on Twitter. Twitter is kind of the circle
Well,
jerk.
you've already broken through. In that you've already broken through whatever the knowledge barrier is or the creative barrier to do that. And so the work that you're doing, I know this is your very strong movement for you. So it's good and it's helpful for everybody. So thank you for this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just simply that. Why am I not making shorts yet? I tried to make a short. It was 7 minutes long, so it didn't show up as a short. Right? So I got to work on a little bit more refinement of the presentation about what am I trying to say and what do I want to say and how do you make it. I think a lot of people in the same boat. I don't think that they're disregarding you or it.
I know.
They just don't know yet. And yeah, so I mean, every person you get on board to doing it will be another person that the other guys don't have. So.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like I see them and it bothers me because I know they could be doing so much more and so much better, you know, on TikTok, like, and they're on Twitter. Like Twitter is like so 2010. It's important in the sense that community engagement is important. But if
What do you
you
mean?
think,
Twitter's new
yeah,
for some of us.
exactly, yeah, it all moves so
Uh,
fast, man. It all
no,
moves so
well,
fast.
it is moving fast, and you're right. So I think you do have to try to stick with what's up and coming. So yeah,
Yeah,
well, I mean, you must have quite a few people. I know I'm in the TikTok chat room, and so there's several hundred people that are in there, right?
yeah,
And I'm seeing boatloads more of Hex content showing up
it's crazy.
on shorts, right? So whether I don't know how they get cross-platform, but however they get cross-platform, to Instagram and YouTube, right?
Mhm.
And quite often it's got a TikTok, logo on it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I think those are all good things to keep going. And I like the grassroots perspective of it.
Yeah, and it's really making a huge difference. People are saying that their feed is starting to light up with Hex content. And I remember the reason why I was so passionate about it is because it was a graveyard when I got there. And people are really doing some great stuff. So get in the chat, guys, and yeah, keep on
Yeah, and
pumping
just
out those shorts.
keep your eyeballs open for the next shift, right?
Yes, the trend is your friend until the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I had heard, much like if I was marketing. So if I was marketing, and marketing is not the right word. If I was looking for products to sell and I was going to buy into the whole I'm going to sell on Amazon thing, I would go to Amazon and see what people are searching for, right? And what are the top sellers? And then I would try to go get some of that stuff and I would put it up for sale because I know it'd be moving. So is that a similar approach that you're taking? Um, with the whole TikTok things, go see what's trending, go see what people are interested in, and then try
Yes.
to fit content to that.
Yeah. You want to throw out different ideas and see what really sticks. So what we found in the group is XRP sticks. You get Richard Hart talking about XRP, hashtag XRP sticks. Very engaging community.
Mm.
Putting half of your video, this is what Tate did, Tate's followers did, and Tate actually went viral. Half of it a video game footage. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to. Like half the screen is Richard Hart talking.
What are these
Bottom half
video games? What
GTA 5. You could search like GTA 5 footage on your YouTube, and
is that, like a board game?
yeah, let me yeah, and then you just screen record, and then you
I'm
oh
joking.
yeah,
Come on.
no, let me get this for you. Um,
I was thinking about playing some Pac-Man or Centipede online.
yeah,
See-
yeah, you could do that too. So VRD Hex is a good example. He's been doing a great job. Um, yeah, look at this. Yeah, that's really what it is. So like half the screen is video game footage and half of it is either audio or Richard Hart talking. Um, Implementing Tate is something that we were doing and it was getting good lift off, but then there was somebody that got banned for it. So I would
Hmm.
avoid that. Um, but there are many good ideas, but XRP is a great one. Video games a great one. Logan Paul, implementing him into your TikTok, very good one. There's just a lot of them. And actually, I'm sorry.
What are the rules around that kind of stuff? Like, I see for whatever reason, I see tons of these Jordan Peterson ones.
So that would be a good one.
How
If there's
how is it that they're showing up?
because you like it, right? You probably like Jordan Peterson, and the algorithm obviously wants you to stay on the platform as long as possible. So they see they process that you watch a lot of Jordan Peterson, so they keep on sending it to you. For everyone, it's something else.
Hmm. All right.
Like like there are a lot of these of like women that like I don't even like, but like I watched it because obvious reasons, and then now I just keep on seeing them even though I didn't even give it a like or a repost or anything.
Yeah.
So,
Well, my question about that was, I mean, he's obviously had these interviews with other people, and then it's not with this content provider, and they're clipping him.
yeah.
Is it simply because he published it in the public domain that you're able to go clip somebody and do that? Like I recognize that on my YouTube channel that I clicked the button that said, "Hey, people can share it." I pretty much gave anybody the right to do whatever they want with it, right?
Mhm.
Is that the same thing with these types of interviews?
Yeah, so TikTok is very lenient on the copyright, and YouTube is very strict. And
Okay.
recently, YouTube Shorts just said they're lowering the standard for like music. You could do up to a minute because basically YouTube is falling behind
Yeah,
for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I bet.
that is interesting. You brought that up.
Okay, so you can play anybody's music for less than a minute,
I
is what
mean,
you're thinking?
I don't know about anybody's, but TikTok gives a lot of music to choose from when in the editor. They like a
Okay.
lot of mainstream music that you could choose from. There was this Valerie actually had a question. Said conversions on TikTok aren't the best, to be honest. 100 TikTok views equals 1 YouTube view. That is true, but I don't know if it's 100 to 1. But obviously, YouTube subscribers are more valuable than TikTok followers, and views are more valuable. But the outbound marketing on TikTok, first of all, virality only happens on TikTok, meaning it's not the Harlem Shake days anymore. Like you can't go viral on YouTube. Once you're on YouTube, it's too late. Trends start on TikTok. That's 2023. So if you want Hex to go viral, you say pre-viral, it will only go viral on TikTok. That's one. And two is outbound. I notice like my YouTube channel, I get a lot of like, yeah, we love what you're doing. It's amazing, right? It's like great. Um, I love the supportive comments, but that tells me that I'm not getting to new people. On TikTok, I get a lot of haters, and that tells me that I'm getting to new people. That's really the main that's really the point. So like, and that's not to say engagement isn't important. What we're doing on YouTube, we're on YouTube right now. It's very important. But in terms of marketing, it's inferior to TikTok. What do you think?
Well, I don't know enough about the two, but meaning the differences are. Um, but in my own head, when I was thinking about this, like what would I be doing with it? Um, I would put together probably shorts. This kind of drove me back to a little bit of planning, right? Like, what is my campaign or campaigns, right? What are the segments of that, and what are my calls to action, right? For that, probably not in that order, but so what are the so it kind of summarizes down to what am I interested in communicating about? I'm interested in communicating about some topics, and I'm also interested in communicating about some processes. Like I'd like to tell people about HEX. Things I'm interested in is, fasting, mountain biking, and delayed gratification, passive income as an example, right? So perhaps my shorts should be, crafted around quick messages that might connect with somebody, right? But that's the
Yeah,
intent, with visuals and sound that maybe makes them click. We'll go look, and then I have the not necessarily companion, but the companion content of the hour stream on topic of this, or this, that they can then dig in further, but to kind of attract them. And so I guess part of it too is probably redefine my purpose. What is my purpose? Is my purpose to bring people to Hex? Is that my purpose? Or am I trying to build my brand that happens to be adjacent to Hex? Because that's what I'm doing. I guess I got to think that through a little bit
well,
further.
it's not mutually exclusive because
Mm,
it's like Hart's law. When you build your brand, that benefits Hex, and when Hex builds its brand, that benefits you.
true,
So
true.
it sort of feeds off each other, in my opinion. As far as like creating TikToks and any content for that matter, what I have learned is that if you put too much effort into it, it usually fails, meaning in the beginning. Because I remember like I wanted to make a YouTube channel for like I do some basketball lessons, whatever. I wanted to teach basketball, and I got all the equipment. I spent a lot of money. I read a
Yeah.
script and this and that, and it's just like I just at the end of the day, I just like it just was overwhelming. And then like let's say you put out a video and then it doesn't do as well as you think it will, which it won't because your first videos never do well. You're just going to give up. So the best thing really to do, in my opinion, is just to get in front of the camera and just talk. And then as you get more, because people, it's like 90% of it is what you say. It's not about production. It's the substance, generally speaking. And as more and more people watch you, you'll want to put in more effort into learning things. Learning how to edit, learning how to how to research trending topics, whatever, make it worth your while. It'll be worth your while because people are invested in you. But the best thing to do in the beginning is just what I did is you just turn your camera on, talk for like 30 seconds, and then just pop it on, and then eventually like everything just happens. You could learn from the feedback, what works, what doesn't, and it's just it just kind of works. You learn everything. It's overwhelming in the beginning, but once you get started, it just unfolds. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does because I'm, with the content I consume, I'm typically that's what I'm typically looking for that, right? To hear what somebody's got to say. So that resonates with me.
Yeah, there you go. Do you have could we like plug some of your stuff? I mean, you have a YouTube channel, you said?
Yeah, I'm on Hexfire is the YouTube.
Hexfire.
There we go. I was looking today. I guess I'm not sure if I actually.
You want to share your screen?
Find you. I'm playing solitaire. Hold on. No, I'm joking. Yeah, just do hexfire.io. You have to get it this way. And then I can demonstrate the other thing. There it is. That's us. So this is YouTube. This is a new site that's been set up. Right, YouTube is new, where people share online videos and streams and whatnot. Anyways, you can go through here. You're the first person that's actually pulled it up and looked at it on the screen, so I can tell you what I'm doing. So understand all about the home button, right?
Yeah.
And so we got videos. We've got a little introduction in there. I get totally why some people were saying, "Hey, my videos don't show up anywhere. What's going on?" And I was like, same thing, me, right? Like, what the hell's videos? Like a handful of videos show up. I'm not even certain how to make them show up here. But go live, right? And then, of course, you see the live ones are there. So a couple different ones. Good one for people to go look at is the HEX staking report from a couple days ago. And that goes over those dates. I had put those in there. And then I was having a little bit of, that's the one at the top left, yeah. Yeah, so there was just some of the key dates having to do with that. I had some fun with the moon math. I listened to and got some advice from Randy Hilarski a bunch of times, and I listened to him a bunch of times anyways. And so I did the moon phases. Pretty funny when you look at prices having in correlation to the moon and the phases of the moon, and the prices move around. So you can find some very informative videos here.
Links in the chat, guys.
With different things. Go to the playlists, and you'll see what I'm interested in there.
Playlist.
Yeah. And so it's kind of what I was talking about. I guess I don't have a link to intermittent fasting up here, but I've got a couple. I do have that one. I'm at mountain biking. I guess I don't have a mountain biking channel. So I got a couple things in here. They got that spotlight video thing. I think that automatically pops up now, right? So I've got to figure out how to populate that. But I've got tutorials. I kind of broke them down between tutorials, discussion videos, and then guest things I've done. Like I'll post this one under guest, right? If you allow cross connection. And then intermittent fasting is a big topic for me. I like that. And so I have that there, and of course Eric Berg and some other people, Dr. Eric Berg in there, and a couple other videos that I have. And then my featured charity is ECAD, which is uh, it's a charity that raises and trains dogs to help people, as service dogs. So being able to stand, being able to walk, medication, help, opening doors, all that kind of stuff. These are the kind of specialty dogs, and that's a big thing because for me, because it takes almost a year and a half to train the dogs, and it costs about 50 grand, to do them. And so I got involved with it because my wife is on the list to get one of the dogs. And so once we have one, I had to learn all about what was going on. I just realized there's lots and lots of people that probably, that need help being able to get the funds together to be able to do that. So what they do, and then why I have them here on a charity, is that company, which is a nonprofit, they've been doing the training for over 20, 30 years, but they train the dogs, and oh, the whelping's not there. I have to go change that out. I didn't know it wasn't up. But they train the
It's
dogs.
there.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's one of them. They train the dogs up, and they pay for half the cost of the training, and then
Oh,
the people raise the other 25,000 themselves. And so they're average people, they're just trying to, you know, get a dog to help them. And it's all walks of lives, and very interesting from a marketing perspective type of stuff. If you are not this is not negative at all, but if you are a young child, you are very likely to get people to donate to you. And then across the spectrum, if you're an adult male, it's very difficult. So you have these folks maybe with cerebral palsy or something like that that really need the help to do the fundraising, but it's very hard for them to get the fundraising done. So, anyways, maybe for the future, but this would be the type of thing that um, I would go after for my chosen type of charity. And I'm a very big believer in the whole 10% thing, whether it's tithe or, just doing some sort of donation or charity work, that type of thing. So,
well, you can't go wrong with that kind of charity because everyone loves dogs and everyone likes helping people. I mean, that's like such a good combination. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, who doesn't like seeing little puppies running
I
around?
know. Look at it; it's so adorable.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And
yeah.
then, okay. And was there anything else you wanted to show on your channel?
No, I think on the YouTube, I'm just feeling my way through what to post up there and how to post things up. So yeah, just been a work in progress.
And then we got the Patreon. Tell us about the Patreon.
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, the last time somebody asked me, I was totally unprepared, so I'm probably not any better and prepared today. But that was uh, that was when I was with Maddie a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "Hey, tell us about the Patreon." Um, all right, so with the Patreon, what I did is this, is so people to know that I have the Hex Fire site up. Um,
Links in the chat, guys.
yeah,
Patreon.
it's in there. The site itself, I set it all up in order to provide the access to the data in a way that would be free to Hexicans, anybody who's in the system, because I think it's really important that it's transparent and it's available. All right. And so now I've gotten to the end of not being able to continue any further with it in terms of building anything new into it. And so I've kind of taken that site, trying to almost parked it completely, in that it just updates itself. It updates. I do broke fix on it when something goes wrong. Yeah, it costs me a couple $1,000s a month or a year to have it up, right? And but what I want to move on to is to do some other things. And so, and those other things would be to start being able to provide more like downloads and data extracts and ad hoc data stuff. Anyways, way too technical. So what I did is I said to people, hey, listen, you join the Patreon support at $9.99. Supports the free site being up, and then I have these other perks that I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to get videos made that are just for Patreon, or at least delayed just for Patreon. Different sites. I've got the Hexfire Pro site, which will go a lot deeper with some of the other analytics that are built into it, like the moving charts and that type of stuff. And so just trying to link it up, and it'll likely, this will be kind of an evolving thing as well, because I think that there's more to this than even I'm prepared for. So I need to kind of dig in a little bit further. Behind the scenes on this, I put up a course on financial planning, for instance, and I did a video on that, to help provide the resources as a self-study course in there that you can go through and do. And a lot of people, maybe they don't need it, but some people do. Anyways, that's kind of the idea around the Patreon. And I know that you're aware of Patreon because you've got one as well. And so just that type of thing. And it was really hard, I think. And somewhat it's kind of like this with some of the other things you talked about, because I don't have a cookies enabled site at the moment. I really don't know what people are going to look at on Hexfire. Other than people answering and saying, hey, I did this, or I saw this, and whatever. I have no idea whether you're using it or not. The most I know is that when I take something down, I get a bunch of messages asking me to put it back up. Right. That's about it. And so then I know people are using it, but I just don't know how much they're using it, And so yeah, it's been fun. But I think that's the range of it. I mean, what would you say about the Patreon? I think, I set it up for that support to do it. I can tell you, I did some back of the envelope math on this, because I chose to go put this together myself. Nobody made me do it. Nobody asked me to do it. It's okay if you don't participate. That's fine. But I went and put it together. But if I had gone to someone and asked them to build it for me, it'd probably be it's probably in the range of $200,000 or $300,000 to build the site. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, I was in that kind of business. If I went out to somebody and asked them to do it, I'd probably be spending all day explaining to them how to do it, and then they would have built it for me and charged me.
It doesn't sound crazy at all.
Yeah. Well, some people get the sticker shock, like, "Oh my God, I would never." Yeah, I know. But that's why we don't have a lot of nice things, right?
Yeah,
because and that's why I urge people, and I try to make sure I do it too, is whenever somebody is doing something on their own within the community, is really thank them for it and whatnot, because they don't have to do it. They may have motives, but they don't have to do it. And if you're getting some sort of value from it, it's kind of good to just say thank you to the guys and ladies, because otherwise the stuff won't be there. And you do see them come and go, right? They kind of, you'll see somebody flare, come on the scene, and they're in and engaged, and then over time, they kind of fade out. So.
Yeah, people don't understand. First of all, with regard to what you said about Patreon, there is a lot of value provided. Obviously, support, behind the scenes content, everything listed there. It's also just like they get to be close to you, like they get to form, or they get to message you. They just get sort of access. And obviously, you're somebody who's been around here for a while. You do know a thing or two about navigating the markets. So they just kind of get up to date, access to how you're navigating it, which could benefit them very much because you've been through it all. So there's tremendous value provided, and I think it's worth a lot more than $10. But given that I started creating content recently, people don't understand how much work some of these people put in. And people need, it is important to be appreciated, and it is important to be supported. And if no other reason than that, I think is a good value proposition, because what you've been providing for, this community it's priceless, man. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So I think it is important that people get in the Patreon, and it is important people understand how much work people like Chrispy Man are putting in to this community. And work is it's worth something. It is worth something, and it
Oh
makes a
God, yeah,
huge
yeah.
difference. Yeah, it makes a huge difference also to the to how Hex performs. Like things that we do, you know, data that is provided by people. Things that people contribute to the community. I know Maddie's in the chat, like things that he does, it makes a huge difference. If he hadn't done that, Hex would not be where it is today. You look at the people that were in Bitcoin early, they were doing the things that they were doing. That is what made Bitcoin what it is today. And I think it's tremendous what you're doing. And I think it is important people get into the Patreon and they join the Patreon. And listen, there's no promises. You can always rescind your pledge. I think people should
Yeah,
definitely get in.
that happens. You can just cancel.
You can just cancel. You feel like
People
you're not getting the
people do that.
value, or you feel like foolishly are under the belief that Chrispy Man is not providing the value, because we know he's providing the value. But
Well,
it's a problem because you were telling me this, like people take everything that's given to them for granted because it's free. And I mean, it justify. I kind of even understand that, and I was one of those people.
well, yeah. I mean, I've had to stop myself a couple times and support. I mean, listen, we're all assailed with stuff. So what I mean is there's always somebody asking for you to join something else, another subscription. I hit another paywall. I get it. Um,
Yeah.
I'm very satisfied with the level of support that I've gotten from people.
It's
So what I,
it means a lot. Like when
yeah,
people are willing to give
well, it
money
does.
and
Well,
like
it's like
it really means a lot.
it's like Valerie was here in the chat. I got to tell you that she's been one of the motivating people behind me, because just knowing when you're budding and you're putting stuff out there and you don't really know whether people are interested, just getting that little bit of feedback is like huge, right? And it's very hard to get feedback sometimes. Sure, I can get tons of trolls, but I mean, it's it's hard to get feedback sometimes online with all this stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so the angle I'm trying to go with it is because I've been around for some of the discussions and arguments about, oh, this guy is gold digging or this girl's doing whatever. So I'm just trying to provide extra stuff that nobody's going to get any other way, and just
Yes.
add it in there. And like we were talking about, and I know others have done that. Like I have the class that I put up. Hey, you know what? If you need somebody to work with you on maybe I'll put a coaching thing up. I don't know, because I had done coaching in the past for financial planning.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, maybe it doesn't apply to everybody. Maybe there's a few people that are interested. So I'll look at that stuff, but it's always an evolving process.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. And you got to see what works, what doesn't, and go with what works, I guess, feedback. But definitely everyone's got to get in the Patreon. Is there anything else, any other links you wanted to show? Oh, Twitter, right? Your Twitter.
Yeah, I threw that. I sent that over to you, right? Yeah, because I'm silly. It's Chrispy Man too. I know there's some people here that are also in the same vein as what we're doing as far as supplying services and being out there. And like the Pulse Tubes here, and so shout out to them. And Thin Bears, also another guy who's out there full of information. And so that's my Twitter. I'll tell you, what a pain in the ass, huh? To kind of keep all this stuff in sync.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. I
Because
don't even have.
Yeah, because I went from Twitter. That's I look at TikTok next, right? But I've got the YouTube and the Twitter, and trying to keep that in sync with the Patreon and the Telegram. There's all sorts of stuff happening.
Yeah, but go follow and put on your notifications for Chrispy Man on Twitter. It's important. If not for anything, just it's support. It's support. Support is important.
Yeah.
People need to feel like what they're doing is worthwhile. It's like, why should you do anything if people don't find it meaningful? You may as well not do it. So that's like, people don't understand like how much their support means to us, right? It's like,
That's true. Well, you know, there's a part of what you're doing that applies here, right? And you know, that has to do with self-actualization. You know, so if somebody's at the point where they're putting out the content, they need it shouldn't be too over the top in terms of need, but you know, you need that affirmation, right, from people that that what you're doing is in the right direction, anyways, right? So, and that's what you're saying with that stuff. So I appreciate the good words. Thanks for that, Furu.
Yeah, and I appreciate
And,
you coming on. You want to answer some chats from the, I guess, before we
yeah, sure.
get.
I didn't really come with an agenda to shill. We saw the site. We looked at this
No,
stuff. So thank you.
I came with an agenda to shill Chrispy Man,
Yeah.
but
So I mean,
he did not come with the agenda. It
but
was
I mean,
my
you know, as
idea.
far as what we're going to show. So go take a look at HEXFire.io and let's answer some questions. People got some questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna put your screen up. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Okay.
All right.
Another one.
That's what you meant by answer questions.
I've been drinking too many of these.
Okay. Let's see here. All right. Yep. Pulse Tube, I think you heard that. Thanks for putting that website together. I know we've talked a little bit. I like that. I got to go figure out if now that I figured out I can schedule, I got to figure out whether or not my uh, whether or not my YouTube videos will just show up automatically over there as scheduled. I'm still straddling between StreamYard and screwing around with that OBS. Do, 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 do. Let's see what we got. Yeah, Furu's been knocking out of the park. I mean, we hadn't really planned on streaming today. I was asking him about, you know, maybe this is a question for the people in the chat. If I have a chart, you know, maybe I think he's got me shared out still, right? So let me load that guy up. So if I had something like this, and I can do it in a different format, where it's an automated chart, just think about how to make it kind of like a TikTok, and what would be a nice overlay for that. Of course, going down like daggers probably isn't the right direction, but you know, perhaps as it went up would be better. But so those are the types of things I was thinking about. I was just talking about how we ended up talking about this chart today.
It's unbelievable.
We'll play around with that stuff. Those are the types of charts and things aren't available to just out in the public because I can't implement it the same way, right? With the software stuff that I put together, at the moment, anyways, the way it's set up is I just bring all that data together, and I don't try to do a full like dashboard implementation. So I don't hit the threshold for licenses, which means I can put out a you know, a URL that people can go to for the IO site, and everybody can just log in. You don't have to log in; you just go there, right? Just start using it. It's very quick. Keeps itself up to date pretty regularly. I mean, it's about every 4 hours right now. But for these types of things that I think will be very useful, and it's not just for fun. You know, it's like I guess it's a little bit fun because I like to make the stuff. It's not just for fun, but it's for you know, being able to, with some of the other ones, being able to really learn about when to take action and what we're expecting to see. So actionable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Maddie, I saw that you were out there. Drive carefully, man, if you're out doing chores. I told Furu here I had till 8:30. So before we stream, but I don't think I'll make it another 6 hours or 5 hours. I'll have to take a break. But... All right,
Definitely.
dude. So what do you want to talk about? Anything else? You about ready to wrap or?
He asked me what kind of pop you drinking. It's just seltzer, Trader Joe's seltzer.
Trader Joe's.
I guess I had one more question for you. But first, I guess let me just tell people that I do have a newsletter you could sign up to, and I'm just linking that in here, the tiny URL. It's every week.
I'm not sure I can read that. Either I'm muted or you're muted, or everyone's muted.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right, the mic shuts off. I don't know why, but we'll just continue on this because we don't have much time left. We've been going for a while, but guys, sign up for the newsletter and go to furufinance.com and book your free one-on-one where we could, discuss crypto, Pulsechain launch strategies, anything you want with me. But do that. But my last question for you is there a prediction for the HEX price at Pulsechain V3 and mainnet launch?
Yeah, man, I failed so bad already. I lost so much HEX betting on this stuff.
I mean,
because a group of us, I'm not the ringleader, but somebody who's been taking paper bets, and I bet on prices and lost multiple times already. So that being said, right, it's not crazy, right, for V3 to pump us up, and I've seen people talk 10-15 cents. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
10-15 V3.
Yeah, I mean, that might not be very reasonable. I'm not really sure. I got to learn more about this. I'm not really sure what the story is going to be with liquidity. We get to the point where people are pulling their liquidity. That's going to make things extremely volatile. And if combined at the same time we have demand going into the system, I don't know if multi-dollar isn't off the table.
I'd agree. Could go up an order of magnitude.
Yeah, it may be some weird spike or something, but I don't know that. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with it from there. But I do think that it seems like we're settling pretty close to this 4 or 5 cent region as being very strong support.
So we could get multiple dollars on mainnet launch. We can.
I hope that'd be nice. I'm not counting on it, but yeah. The fireworks would be fun to watch.
Yeah, no, that would be nice.
Red
Bull Green Bear says Trader Joe's Lime Seltzer is the best, and then Polar Seltzer Grapefruit is number 2.
I like both those flavors.
Yeah, there you go. And do you own a dog?
Yeah, I got 3 of them.
What kind of dogs do you own?
Do you hear them barking or something?
I hear them.
No, they're my headset will cut them off. Rat Chihuahuas. Yeah, so I used to do big dogs, right? So
I like the big ones.
Yeah, we used to do Weimies, Weimarammers, and which are hunting dogs. They were a lot of fun and big. And of course, I've had a number of other dogs. But we got these Rat Chihuahuas now, and Rat Chihuahuas are these Rat Terrier Chihuahua mixes. So like 30-pound hellions.
We're going to get it up on the screen.
And so they, I might have a dog picture up there. I don't know.
You want to share?
No, I don't know. Even if I have one on my computer. I bet you it's on my, it is on my Twitter. But anyways, got the 3 dogs, and they keep us pretty busy. The worst thing about them is they go out and kill stuff in the backyard.
What?
Yeah, well, that's what rat terriers do. They find small animals to torture. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I did have the one event where I came in the house and they brought me a gift. And most people don't think of bunny rabbit heads as gifts.
You spell showers. You got.
Yeah. I'll have to share another picture another time.
How do you spell it?
What?
Showers.
What are
Dog.
you looking for? The kind of dog I have?
Yeah.
Well, rat terrier.
Rat terrier.
Yeah, little rat terrier, and you really want to see a picture, huh?
Oh man. Oh, they're pretty cute.
Let's see if I even have one on this computer. I got my squirrel, the red squirrel, on this one, but I may not have.
Davis has 2 GSPs, golden shepherds. Golden German shepherds. I like German shepherds.
All right, so you see this dog here? It's kind of like the Boston Terrier. So think terrier.
Oh, you're not.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't showing. I was just looking at your picture. I'll pull a picture up. How about that? Hold on a minute.
I'll
Where am I
unshare
gonna,
it and then I'll find it.
where am I going to get it? Do you have a dog or no?
No, I don't. But I like them. I like huskies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're gorgeous. But the problem is all these like dogs, they just shed everywhere. It's like not.
Well, that comes.
You pet them and then they're like all over.
Yeah, yeah, that does happen too. I guess it could be worse. Mm-mm. So you kind of stumped me because I didn't come here prepared to share pictures of my dog.
German short-haired pointers. I don't know those. Hard as 2 cat. Do you like cats?
I've had cats. I don't have one now.
I didn't realize people own dogs and cats. Like, I didn't know you could own them both.
Yeah, living together. I mean, they usually get along pretty good though.
Yeah. I like the cats that are like dogs, but cats. You know what I mean?
I have absolutely no idea.
Like they're very friendly.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, so this is not the best picture.
Is it? No, I don't see it.
I didn't get it yet. I'll get it. Yeah, so what ended up happening with us with the dogs is my wife says, "Hey, let's get a dog," and I'm like, "I don't want a dog," I already had dogs, right? And so she's like, "Oh, let's get another dog." So we got this dog because it was a rescue, and this is when rescues were like a new thing in terms of how they were, talked about, because people would be like, "Oh, we're going to do a rescue, and you'll get this rescue dog." Well, yeah, of course that's a business, right? You pay somebody $120 and they give you a dog, right? But it doesn't mean that the dog didn't come from, some sort of puppy mill anyways, right? Well, anyways, so we get the dog. I love the dog, right? So then I decide I'm going to breed the dog, which made perfect sense. So then
most people don't do that. Most people neuter it.
That's right. So then I decide I'm going to breed the dog. So I end up breeding the dog, and end up with 6 puppies, right? So this is the mother is over there with the pink, wearing her coat.
They're adorable. I love the coats.
Yeah, this is a terrible picture, but and then the one to the left is her son. And so then of course I couldn't leave things well enough alone. We end up keeping 2 of the puppies, so I end up with 3 dogs. Yeah, it's been hell for 12 years. Little dogs are noisy and troublesome. I'd love them, but what a pain in the ass.
They're so cute, though.
And then the other 3 or the other 4 went to people we know. Very well mannered, good dogs, except for the barking and the ankle biting, which is where that comes from for the little
mailman.
Little dogs.
Davis says he says that you you can't neuter them. They'll be frail. Is that true?
That may be true. I don't know. I'm not a vet, but every dog we've had that has been small. These are 30 pounders, 20, 30 pounders. So not that small.
Yeah, but if you don't neuter them,
always
also
had them.
they're gonna like bite people and rip up the furniture and whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess there's some psychological effects to neutering that may prevent animals from acting in certain ways. I don't know, but those aren't really I don't think those are really correlated. You know? Well, I guess it go the other way. You might be, like, so we had a Saint Bernard once who the female went into heat and the male went through the bedroom door, like through the bedroom door, not around it or broke it open, just went through the bedroom door. So yeah, I guess there's some things like that.
Wow.
Yes, Finn Bear. I hope they're my friends too. Well, one of them's my kid, so he doesn't have any choice. I guess he could not talk to me anymore. Yep, that's true. That's true. They do run away. Yeah. So eventually we'll get one of these service dogs too. So we're gonna have to figure out how to put all 4 of them together in one house. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that is some good stuff. And those dogs are adorable.
They're even more adorable in person. But I brought him. I got to bring Duke on the screen. He comes and hangs out once in a while.
Yeah, that'll definitely get some more viewers.
I was just thinking he could just do the streams. Maybe that would be better. I'll just do voiceover.
Make some TikToks of the dogs.
Yes, yeah. Well, he wears my HEX hat sometimes, but
yeah, there you go. All right.
Not by choice. He doesn't do it.
He's gonna get the HEX jacket.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
So I guess it's been almost 3 hours, and obviously pleasure having you on. Great insight. We hope we get you back.
You too, buddy.
Yeah, and I'm gonna link everything, like your Patreon, YouTube channel, Twitter. We could do the charity. I'll link it in the description, and all the clips I make of this, I'll link it as well. Make sure you guys check it out. Make sure you go to furufinance.com and book your free one-on-one today. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Nope, I'm going to do the same. I'll make sure that I connect Furu up on my YouTube as well. And no, I mean, I think, hey, listen, if you feel like there's some, there's some value coming out of this, which I think there is, give a like, subscribe, consider going to the Patreons, and join up.
All right.
We're going to be around for 15 more years minimum.
I know.
Heck, go anywhere for a while. It's so funny. But here's the thing, dude. There's some people in this chat that I have that relationship with. We're already 3 years down. It's only 12 years left.
Well, then you got more 15 years. I'm sure you and a lot of them made some more after the 3 years.
My last career was 15 years.
Yeah, there you go. Like I've made 15-year stakes in the last few months, so we're not going anywhere. So you better get used to us.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is, if you get a request, send it in. Send it into Furu, send it into me, whatever it is, whether it's content or otherwise. Absolutely.
Again,
yeah. And I'm going to be checking out the TikTok chat a lot more too, trying to figure out how to get mine done. Because I did notice to get some we have some video software up there that you guys have been saying, things that you're using and linking. I just figured out my computer actually has video software on Windows 11. So there's at least some capability without even going to something else.
There you go. And you could always ask. There's people in the chat. They're always willing to help. So guys, get in the TikTok and YouTube Shorts group, linking it in the group, in the chat. go hit that and make sure you join. And thank you so much again for coming on. Great talking to you. It's great talking to you before when I seen you on RH Max, but getting you
Yeah,
here.
we were hanging. We hung for a couple minutes. That was like the first time I met you.
Yeah, likewise. So
Oh, Sandy. Is that the same Sandy? Is that
no,
Sandy?
and YouTube YT Shorts,
Oh, okay.
Sandy Short.
That's how I read it.
Yeah,
I
I know.
dropped.
I know what you mean.
I dropped the T. So
Yeah, I know what you mean. All right, guys. I will be here tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Time.
is
And
that your time? 12?
that's my time. I don't know. Hexologist started streaming again, so maybe I should change it. But he usually comes on after, but like this time we went really long.
Oh yeah. Maybe what I'll do is I was thinking 7 a.m.
7 a.m. is good.
6,
That's
7
right
a.m.
after Crypto 7. It's
Yeah.
you'll always get people because it's global, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, dude, this is the only people are amazed how many people we talk to. I got to say, crypto really made this happen for me. Yes, I have know people in other countries, right, in the past, but with crypto and this hex thing, man, I could be talking to somebody in Australia, Tokyo, you name it, Thailand, China, Europe, all, Germany, South Africa, all at the same time. It's pretty crazy. And I've had some meetings like that with people. We get like 5, 6 people together. I like it a lot. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's
good.
crazy. You could
I think
connect
it's
with
good.
them. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and I think I think for the future, I think that's very good for everyone. Yeah.
definitely.
So
I find it like interesting. I'm like connecting with like German people, um, like
well,
Ebit.
it's funny, dude, right? Like you and I are here in the U.S., and so we kind of know what's what here. A lot of people they only have consumed, um, the media. They really don't know, what we know about being here. And it's crazy because I found that to be very helpful to be able to talk about different things, put some misconceptions aside. I mean, terrible things happen all over the place and terrible things happen here, but uh, generally what you're seeing in the news is not what happens. So,
True. That is true. What did John Mayer say? When they own the information, they could bend it all they want.
and they do. They do.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
They
All
do.
right, man. 3 hours and 1 minute.
All right, you made it 3 hours. All
We
right.
made it 3 hours. Everybody, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. We'll talk later, guys, and we'll see you.
I can't wait to see you on Matty Allen tonight.
And we're live.
And then we're live. And
We're
have a
live.
great rest of your day, guys.
Yeah, I got to figure out my tagline.